Tonight on Access TV, straight from New York City, it's Gotham Comedy Live. Get ready to laugh with Chad Zumock, Michelle Bowen, Alexis Guerreros, Chuck Nice, and your host, Norm MacDonald.
Thank you, and welcome. You gotta fucking be exhausted. But welcome to Gotham Comedy Live. This is a show like other shows, except you can be dirty. That's what a guy told me. So fuck that shit, because that's my favorite sentence. 2/3 of it's very dirty, and the other one is not. But you go, fuck that shit. That's why I talk about politics and stuff. People, what do you think of that? Fuck that shit. And then people think I have an opinion, but I don't really. But a guy was just telling me, hey, listen, Bill Cosby, first of all, is my hero ever since I was a kid, because I always wanted to be like him, and I got his albums, tried to emulate him, but I didn't like his stand-up, but I like the way he was as a man. Because this was before, they didn't say he was a rapist on the fucking liner notes of the albums, you know? As my buddy said, he said, the worst part about Cosby was he was a hypocrite. And I said, I don't think that was the worst part. To me, the worst part was the raping. Way up high. And then the second would be the drugging. And then the third would be the scheming. But anyways, hypocrisy would be way fucking down the line, you know, like on the 4th page or some shit. Like, I'm no expert, but I think probably most rapists are hypocrites. You know what I mean? You don't meet a lot of guys who go, I like to rape, I don't give a fuck. I know it's not a politically correct thing to say, but I like raping. Oh, goddamn, at least he's not a hypocrite. That's the worst. That's the worst part of it. But imagine you're a girl. Some of you will be easier. No, imagine you're a girl. You're in a gift shop in Vegas or some shit. Go, I'm gonna buy this snow globe for my. Oh, it's the most famous guy ever, Cosby. You know, Cosby's there, and he's like, "You want to go to my room? It's the biggest room ever." And so you go, "Yeah, of course I want to go to your room. Biggest star ever, biggest room ever. What the fuck? You don't even have to be a girl. You fucking go." And then you go up, and then you're like, fuck, look at this. I've never seen... And he's like, you want a glass of water? You go, yes, that would be nice. And then you go, why is it purple? Why is it fizzing? Like in a monster movie. Just drink it. It's famous people water. And you drink, and everything goes fucking crazy and shit. They come out of it, they're like, what the fuck? I was just in the gift shop. What's that? Cosby cock? I could swear that's a Cosby cock. That's impossible. A Cosby cock? Why would there be a Cosby cock in my face? Wait a second, I remember. I'll call for help. Hypocrisy! A man committed hypocrisy on me in room 10304-204. There's too many numbers in the hotel room. God damn. Cosby. But when you think about that show, people go hypocrite and shit. But in a way, when you think about the show he had a regular fucking life. But then what was his job? He looked in women's pussies and stuff. And you never saw it. They never showed you that part. So in a way, maybe he wasn't a hypocrite. I don't even know what's wrong with hypocrisy anyways. What's the problem with hypocrisy, you know? People are always against it. Go, you know what I hate worse than anything? Hypocrite. But imagine your life if you weren't a hypocrite. You know what I mean? Like if you had a kid, you go, okay, Billy, you're 7 years old now. You know what I mean? And then you tell him who you really are. That's not a good idea. Sit down, Billy. I'm going to tell you some evil shit I did through most of my life that I've been keeping from you. So Cosby was a hypocrite. But it's like one of those little things. You know when people do like real bad things and then they add on a little thing? It happens a lot in crime and shit. Like I remember, I'm just swearing because I can. Like crime, fuck it, shit. But sometimes a guy will commit a heinous crime, then they'll add like some fucking, like I remember Richard Speck. You know, some of you are old enough to remember this guy. He busted into a house full of nurses, raped and killed 9 nurses. He was charged with 8 counts of rape, 8 counts of murder, 1 count of breaking and entering. So the whole defense became, I tell you, that door was a little bit open. You could have jimmied that open. We're going to take pictures of it and show it to the jury. Blow them up. Then the judge is like, all right, fuck that one. Because judges are wise, like owls. So the judge knows he doesn't want the guy, 8 counts guilty, 8 counts guilty, and on the case of breaking and entering, innocent. And then he's like, hey, what did I tell you, everybody? Waving at people with his orange thing. Hey, a guy told me that, I don't know if you've heard this, Bruce Jenner is going to go back, maybe, to being a man. Did you hear that? That's an odd thing. Because I remember him, of course, as a woman. So it's hard for me to picture what he'd even look like as a man. I remember, because I'm from Canada, so I remember he was in the 72 Olympics, and he won the decathlon, you know, which is the best athlete in the world, was a woman. And we didn't know at the time because he kept it secret. But I remember they put the gold medal around his fucking big juicy tits. And that to me is when he should have just gone, I'm a lady, and then that would have been good for the LGBTG. The community, you know, the community. I don't know if you've been over and seen them and shit, but it's a nice community. And it would have been good. All the LGBTBL. I try to be inclusive of all the letters in the alphabet. But, you know, then he waited. That's the problem. He waited till he was 65. That's when Bruce Jenner decided to tell us he was a lady. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, is there really that much difference between a 65-year-old? Yeah, at some point, you got to realize you're just some old thing nobody wants to fuck. All right, guys. turn your TV. And we will be back in a moment. Thanks, guys. You're awesome.
Comedy Club in New York City. Chad Zumach is taking the stage when we return. And stick around later for more with Norm MacDonald when he returns to the stage. Welcome back to Gotham Comedy Live. More great stand-up coming your way starting right now.
Yeah. All right, folks, it's time to get the show underway, and there's first guest. He plays in his men's basketball league. This motherfucker averages 3 points a game. Now that's an unusual credit, but there you have it. He's an unusual fucking guy. His name is Chad Zumach. Give him a hand, everybody. Give him a hand. Right here.
How about a hand for my opener? Now it's time for a celebrity. Good to be here, man. Wow, this is awesome. New York, having a great time. Just tell you a little bit about me. Everyone thinks I'm really immature and I need to grow up. And I still feel like a little kid. Not much changes if you think about it. Like when I was a kid, I was afraid of cooties and the boogeyman. Now that I'm older, I'm afraid of herpes and the police. Same thing, you know. I still play hide and seek. Except now I'm playing with bill collectors, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, count to 100, come find me, Visa. All right. I've been fired 34 times. Yeah, you've been fired 34 times. You got no references. You just got to go to a job interview with honesty. You ever do that? You ever go to a job interview, just been honest? I've done it. I went to a job interview and I was like, just want to let you know, I've been fired 34 times. And the guy's like, well, why would we hire you? And I was like, because I like to look at it like I've been hired 34 times. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fantastic hire. I get hired all the time. Let's go. I want to push some Pumas here at Lady Foot Locker. I'm a team leader. Blah, blah, blah. I hate when people try to tell you what you should do with your life. I got a buddy named Mike. He's always like, hey, Chad, you got a good personality. You should go into sales. I'm always like, hey, Mike, you're really good telling people what to do. You should be a Jehovah's Witness. You know what I'm saying? We got some Jehovah's Witnesses here. I want in. Sign me up. These holidays are expensive, you know what I'm saying? I'm on a budget. I'm saving my money. I'm frugal. I'll go to a strip club. I'll make it rain with Dunkin' Donuts punch cards. That's how I roll. You know what I'm saying? Ain't trying to move to Miami or the San Francisco Bay because I'm balling in Cleveland making $35K. All right. I didn't want to do stand-up comedy. I wanted to go to the NBA. I still think I can do it. That's how delusional I am. If you still think you could go to the NBA at my age, you're a delusional moron, or you're trying to show off you have health insurance. Like, I play pickup basketball every day, and I try. Why? There's never going to be a situation where an NBA scout comes walking into the YMCA going, holy shit. What do we got here? No, not that 7-foot black guy who dunked on 3 people. I'm talking about the 5'9" white guy over there who's bent over hyperventilating and turned the ball over 23 times. Let's sign that guy up to the Mavericks to run point guard. That dream died. You ever had a dream that died? Mine died 3 weeks ago. I was on the hardwood. I don't know if you've been on the hardwood lately, but it's serious. I was guarding somebody, right? They pulled up on me, scored, and they looked me in the eye. I swear to God, they were like, suck it, bitch. I'm like, we're in a church league? I don't think that's an appropriate way to speak, Father. Classic joke writing. Thanks, Judy Carter. It's all downhill. Had to quit drinking. It was getting weird. It was out of control. I was getting charged with DUIs. I was wearing sweater vests. It was out of control. It was weird. I got charged with a very public DUI 4 years ago back where I'm from. And then, I don't know if you've ever been charged with a DUI, but a lot of thoughts go through your mind. And I swear to God, the first thought that went through my mind is I was jealous of Justin Bieber. Stay with me. The Biebs, I don't know if you remember this, got charged with the DUI. He was drag racing in Miami in a Lamborghini with a supermodel. And he was smiling in his mugshot. I think I'd be smiling too in my mugshot if that was my life. That sounds awesome. I got charged with the DUI doing 10 miles per hour in Cleveland, Ohio, in a Chevy Cruze with an Arby's beef and cheddar. Frowny face mugshot. Even though I don't drink, I think everybody should drink as much as they possibly can at least one moment in their life. Take it to the limit. Could save your life. Yeah. I have nothing to back that up with, but I have a story. 4.5 years ago, I drank as much as I possibly could, and I was at a strip club. I was in the woman's restroom. I was making out with a naked woman who did not work there. I'm pretty sure that's loitering. I don't know what it is. It's bad business, I'll tell you that right now. That's like if you go to a Quiznos and there's a guy in a Subway uniform giving away $5 footlongs in the bathroom. It's bad business. So I'm making out with this lady, and a bouncer guy comes walking in. He's one of those diehard bouncers. He's always wanted to be a bouncer. You know that guy? Well, he wanted to be a cop, but he has a criminal record, so now he has to be a bouncer, right? Right? Shaved head, goatee. Kind of looks like he's Stone Cold Steve Austin, but he's 5'7", big muscles, small penis, probably a racist. I don't know. So he walks in. He sees me. He's like, "Hey, pal, you're not supposed to be in here." And I'm drunk, and I'm like, "Sorry, man, my bad. I didn't know." And he's like, "What's your name?" And I'm like, "Chad Zumach." Like, that's going to do something. And he's like, "No, it's not. Your name's Todd. I know who you are." And I'm so drunk, I'm like, "It is?" And he goes, "Yeah, and you owe me a lot of money for that cocaine, you son of a bitch." I'm like, "What?" Throws me up against the wall right when he's about to punch me in the face. I swear to God, walking into the restroom was NBA legend Dennis Rodman from out of nowhere. We're both going, "Is that Dennis Rodman?" Rodman, without hesitation, says this. He goes, "Hey, you put him down." Like the Lord sent Dennis Rodman on my behalf. Like he's my guardian angel. Like he's my Michael Landon from Highway to Heaven. He's there to save me. Without Victor French. So actually, this happens. I wake up the next day. You ever wake up the next day after you've been drinking, you're just trying to piece stuff together? You're like a hungover Columbo going, "Did I really drive from Canada to Florida? Did I see Dennis Rodman? I don't know." No one's going to believe this story. I'm never going to tell it. Until 4 months later, I'm at a mall. I see a woman with a baby and a man. The man kisses her on the cheek. She walks away. I'm like, "How do I know this woman?" I walk up to her. I'm like, "Excuse me, ma'am, how do I know you?" She turns around. She goes, "Ah!" Like she just saw Patrick Swayze in Ghost, or Patrick Swayze now. Either, a lot of Roadhouse fans. That's fine. Nobody puts baby in a corner forever. Love Swayze. Anyways, she's like, "Ah!" I'm like, "Sorry, ma'am, I didn't mean to scare you. I thought I knew who you were." She goes, "Yeah, you do." I'm like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "And that night in that hotel room with you and that stripper and Dennis Rodman, that's not who I am anymore. I'm a wife and I'm a mother." So not only get confirmation Dennis Rodman was there that evening. Turns out I may or may not have had a gangbang with a stripper in Cleveland, Ohio with Dennis Rodman, and that's when I was glad I drank as much as I possibly could, because you don't want to remember a gangbang with Dennis Rodman. That guy does not play by the rules. Thank you so much. My name's Dave Chappelle. Thank you, John Cena.
Live from the Gotham Ballin Comedy Club in New York City. Michelle Ballin is taking the stage when we return. Stay tuned for more laughs on Access TV.
You know this next comic as a finalist a couple years ago on Last Comic Standing. Please welcome Michelle Ballin right over here.
Thank you, Norm. Perfect. This is definitely not a position I enjoy. Thank you. How are you? Woo! Okay, I am so excited. I waited my whole life to be on Access TV. If this doesn't catapult me to stardom, I don't know what will. The hell with NBC. I'm on Access! You know, I feel good about that, but I gotta tell you, I don't know. I was leaving my house, and I had a rude awakening that I don't look as good as I once did. Happened to any of you? You're all too young. You don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I'm changing my clothes in my apartment, and I was in such a hurry for this that I didn't, you know, I was taking my shirt off, and I didn't pull my shade down, and the guy across the way pulled his shade down, so... I'm like, motherfucker. And then I couldn't find my cell phone. You know that when you can't find, that's the beauty of cell. Like, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? I was on my phone looking for my phone. Have you done that? I can't find my phone. I don't know where my phone is. I told this young kid I had a home phone. She looked at me like I had 9 heads. A home phone? Why do you have a home phone? So I could call my cell phone. So I just got off a cruise ship because my career is out to sea. I'm the longshoreman of comedy. It's great. I don't know if you've been on a cruise. I was on the biggest ship. I'm not saying it's that big, but it had a Sam's Club is all I'm saying. This ship was 7,000 passengers. In 1 week, we used 85,000 eggs. 85,000 eggs in 1 week. All I could think about, somewhere, there's a chicken. Go, I can't do this anymore. My uterus is on the ground. I need a vaginal reconstruction. I'm the slut of chickens. It spoils you. I don't know if you've ever been on a cruise, but there's food everywhere. There's food everywhere. So even if you don't know what you want to eat, because you know how it is, I don't know what to eat, you go in, it's there. You have Indian, pizza, God knows what crap. And then you get home. I got home, I'm so spoiled. I'm in my kitchen with a tray. You see anyone from the Philippines here? Anyone? But you don't know what to eat, right? You have that thing, you get home, you're like, what do you want to eat? What do you want to go look at the refrigerator? You're like, oh, man. You close it, walk away, come back 5 minutes later, open it again. Like if somebody dropped a roast off when you weren't looking. I love it. I'd go to different islands. I went to Bermuda. That's a nice, very expensive. I went out to eat. They said it was $37 for a chicken cutlet. $37 for a chicken cutlet. The woman goes, well, it's free range. I said, for $37, it had its own apartment. Then I went to this other island, you know, where they try to sell you drugs. So I get on the beach, and this guy's like, hey, you want weed? You want coke? You want, what do you want? I said, you have Lipitor? You have Lunesta? Because that's all I need. But I got to tell you, got to be careful now, right? With the mosquitoes. The Zika virus. There's always something. I got to be honest with you. I was in Puerto Rico. I was bit by a mosquito. But it turns out I don't have the Zika virus, but the mosquito has irritable bowel syndrome. And it's probably depressed. But You know this terrorist group, ISIS? I think they are the mosquitoes, don't you? We don't know, and every year these mosquitoes come with a new disease. Those are the ISIS terrorist group, are the mosquitoes, I'm sure of it. I'm thinking, how are we going to find ISIS? We don't even know who they are. Who are these people? It took us 12 years to find Osama bin Laden. 12 years. And where was he? Home. He was home. I'm like, in 12 years, we didn't think to knock, to call. There was not one Jehovah's Witness in Afghanistan. There was... So crazy with this terror. Stop already. I hate when you wake up. You know, I live in New York. I hate when you wake up and they go, it's high alert. Don't you love it? High alert. I'm like, I can't be high and alert at the same... I'm either high or I'm alert. Pick one, okay? I tell you, I do get to travel, though, doing the cruises. I do. I was in Greece. Greece is great, man. You know, when I was a smoker, if you smoke, go to Greece. Everybody smokes. The dogs, the mannequins smoke. Yeah. There's the dogs going, ruff, ruff. You know. I was the biggest smoker, I just quit smoking. I did. I quit smoking. Very nice for me. Now I want to kill myself, but I quit. My clothes smell so good, you know, in the closet because I can't fit into them, but they smell good. I had to stop because in New York, cigarettes are $15 a pack. Did you know that? Heroin's cheapest, so I switched. I feel pretty... Yeah. I feel good. You can't smoke anywhere anymore. I read that this woman got arrested for smoking in her car. Read this. Arrested for smoking because she had a kid in the car. A cigarette. Arrested. Is that extreme? I think it is. Because when I was a kid, my mother and father would smoke in the car with me and my little brother with the windows rolled up. The car was so smoky, I don't even know how we saw where we were going. That's how smoky. My father would pull over, open the door, puff of smoke, me and my brother get out like a magic act. Woo! My mother took me to a doctor that smoked. You know, doctors used to smoke. The doctor and my mother are going, sitting there, and the doctor looks at me and goes, I think she has asthma. This world is nuts. Now they want to come out with a law that pregnant women can't go and have a drink. Are you kidding me? When my mother was pregnant with me, she smoked, she drank, she touched raw chicken with her bare hands. And look, I don't look so bad for 30. So crazy. Everything's changed. You go for coffee now, Starbucks, $97 a cup. What? What is there, crack in that coffee? I think there is. Ever see people online at a Starbucks like this? Yeah, I need a latte. You know? Yeah. I'm online at a Starbucks by my house, I swear. So I'm online, and there's a white couple in front of me that adopted a Chinese baby. And the woman looks at me and goes, I don't think we're going to tell her she's adopted. I said, oh, well, you better tell her how she turned Chinese. Then she goes over and orders decaf espresso. That's an oxymoron, ladies and gentlemen. That's like going to a drugstore. Can I have some of those non-drowsy sleeping pills, please? I hate when they make me tired. I'd like that with the KY powder. You have it? How about those fishnet condoms? They're effective. How about those time-released antidepressants? You got those? They came out with time-released antidepressants. Time-released antidepressants. Okay, what kind of roller coaster ride is that? So you walk around and go, oh my God, I'm gonna kill myself. No, I'm not. I'm so unhappy. Not anymore. Anyway, you guys have been great. My name is Michelle Ballard. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Live from the Gotham Comedy Club in New York City, Alexis Guerreros is taking the stage when we return. Stay tuned for more laughs on Axis TV. Welcome back to Gotham Comedy Live. More great stand-up coming your way starting right now.
This next comedian you probably know as one of the Cooligans. They fucking do know you. Okay. I lost $20. He's a funny motherfucker. Here is Alexis Guerreros. Give him a hand, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. I know, some of you guys know me, but the rest of you are like, what the fuck is that guy, huh? Yeah. You guys look at me, you can't tell what I am. I have one of those faces. I know that because I get so many different things. I get Italian a lot, you know? I don't know if it's the hair or this stupid deli accent that I have, you know? Sounds like most of the last words of my sentences are gonna be provolone. You know? It actually is. I order a lot of sandwiches, okay? Also, when I say provolone, it's sexy. Provolone, you know? Right? You guys say it, it's like provolone. You're like, ugh, get that out of my sandwich, you know? It's disgusting. When I say it, it's sweet. It's like one of those like light FM letters, like, hey, Stacy, Dan misses you. Provolone. Yeah. You're in your car, you're like, they're getting back together. Yeah. I'm not Italian. I get that a lot. I'm not Italian. I get Puerto Rican a lot. I think it's just because I'm from around here, you know? Yeah. I'm not. Not Puerto Rican. The third one, this is the one I get the most. I get retired cop that opened his own bakery. I get that a lot. That claps like assholes, you guys. You guys hurt my heart. I'll tell you guys what I am. My mom is from Cuba. My dad is from Uruguay, which is in South America. Yeah. My wife, she's the Italian one. I said that once. I said I'm half Cuban, half Uruguayan, and I said my wife's Italian. As soon as I said my wife's Italian, some lady in the front row goes, ooh, exotic. I was like, did you hear what I said about myself, you know? And then I realized that lady was from Europe, so when I said my wife's Italian, she thought I meant Italy. I didn't. I meant New Jersey. That's not exotic, okay? That's the least amount of exotic as you could be. That lady was so wrong. She pictured my wife still wearing a gondola in Italy, like, che si dice, you know? The reality, it's more like my wife at a bagel shop going, what the fuck you mean you ran out of everything bagels? Just dip a plain bagel in some seeds and shit and give it to me, okay? If you guys are wondering why I didn't change my voice when I was doing an impression of my wife, it's because that's how she speaks, okay? She's from New Jersey, okay? Her family's exactly what you think about when you think of like an Italian family from New Jersey. I didn't know this is what I was marrying into, okay? It's like marrying into a family of a bunch of extras from the show Sopranos that never heard the director yell, cut. I'm like, we're still doing this? This is awesome. Her uncles, I wish I was making this up, tons of cash in their pockets at all times. No one knows what they do for a living. They wear pinky rings, still. They say whatever they want at family events and no one says anything back because everyone's so scared of them. We'll be at a family event, back of the room, you hear our uncles yell, when the fuck is this over, huh? So fucking boring already. I'd be like, guys, we're at a funeral. Could you keep it down? Impossible. Just a little bit lower. It's a dead body in the front of the room, you know? And I think you had something to do with it, actually. That body's got pinky ring marks all over his neck. The hell, did it owe you money, you know? Her one uncle, Vinny, again, I wish I made that up. He came up to me once. By the way, I was like, why are you talking to me? I'm scared of you too, okay? He comes up to me, puts his arm around my neck all tight, and he's like, I hear you doing stand-up. I was like, yeah, if you let go, I can continue. You got a vice grip on my neck. Like I own a horse or something, you know? He's like, I'm coming to see you perform. I was like, why did that sound like a threat? I was like, I don't think you're using the right tone. He's like, you want to talk to Tone? I was like, no. 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 I was like, Vinny, when are you coming? He's like, I don't know. Great. Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely going to be comfortable every time I'm on stage looking in the shadows for some guy in a tracksuit. Great. Great. Perfect. That's exactly what I want. You guys can relax. I saw some of you turn around. He came last week, okay? Relax. You owe somebody money? Chill out, you know? At the end of the show last week, I walked up to him. I was like, hey, Vinny, did you have a good time? He goes, yeah, fucking comedy, eh? That's all he said. I was like, dude, I don't know if what you just said is good or bad. But I feel like I owe you money, okay? Please tell me if I owe you money, because I will go in my wife's purse and get it for you. However much you want. She has a good job, you know? I was like, dude, Vinny, yes or no, did you have a good time? He's like, yeah, you were funny and everything, but I thought you told me your comedy was about honesty, huh? I was like, whoa, Vinny, everything I said is true. He goes, yeah? How come I didn't hear you do one joke about how much you love to suck dick? I was like, Vinny, I'm married to your niece. Yeah. Can't I just give you money? Seriously? Wouldn't that be easier? My wife is nothing like her family. She's a good person, you know? She really is. She's a nurse. Do we have any nurses in the room? Yeah? Couple back there. They're drinking heavily. I get it, you know? It's a tough gig. I don't know why. I told my friend I was marrying a nurse, and they were like, whoa, you're marrying one of those sexy nurses, huh? One of those real sexy nurses? I was like, actually, I'm marrying a woman, not a Halloween costume. Yeah. 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 Also, there's nothing sexy about being married to a nurse. There is nothing sexy about it. People think it's like being married to some sex kitten. Like my wife comes home and I'm like, hey, babe, how's your day? And she's like, don't worry about me. Let me give you a sponge bath. It's not what it's like at all. It's not like that at all. It's more like being married to a war vet. She comes home, I'm like, hey, babe, how's your day? She's like, I don't want to talk about it. There was blood and Filipinos everywhere. Okay. So, whiskey waiting for you on the table, Colonel. You can't even dirty talk a nurse. You can't. They've seen too much. They really will. My wife will say shit that happened at work. She's like, I pumped a man's heart with my bare hands. I'm like, oh, did you wash him? You know? Oh. I have nothing to relate that to. What am I going to say? Like, oh, I tried to get a straw in a Capri Sun the other day. We got red everywhere, right? You can't be sexy to a nurse. I tried the hardest I could the other night. I was laying in bed because my stomach hurt. She came over. She covered me with a blanket. She grabbed my face all soft. I was like, look at you. Your sexy-ass bedside manner. You're my sexy little nurse. I was like, no. You know what you are? You're my dirty little nurse. I was like, wait. You know what you are? You're my little wet nurse. Yeah. She looked at me and she's like, I don't think you used that last one correctly. She's like, I don't think you know what a wet nurse is. She looked at me and she goes, Alexis, a wet nurse is someone who's hired to breastfeed. Yeah, I knew what it was. I make fun of her and I make fun of her family a lot, but I shouldn't because she at least has a family. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I don't know if you guys have ever bought heroin before. Yeah. It's a tough place, all right? Grew up without a dad, obviously. There's no dads in Newark, okay? None. We all used to watch Full House. That was fantasy TV for us, okay? There's 3 dads on that show. There's one in the living room, one's in the kitchen, one's upstairs. Every door you open, there's a dad here? Is that where they all are? Can we get Jesse? He looks Latino. Get over here, you know? Grew up without a dad. None of my friends had dads. When I came to New York and I met a friend who also grew up without a father for a totally different reason. His dad was a firefighter who died during the attacks of 9/11. I didn't know that. When he told me that, it really touched me, you know? He told me when he turned 18, he received over $1 million from life insurance in the city of New York. He said he'd give it all back to spend one more day with his dad. Yeah, it really affected me. It got me thinking, like, if I could go back in time and change the course of life for just one person, I'd go back and convince my father to become a firefighter. Yeah, if you think that's mean, it's because you don't know my dad. He's a real piece of shit, okay? Like, if you called him that, I'd be like, you know him, you know? But if he was a firefighter who died during 9/11, you called him a real piece of shit, I'd be like, hey, watch your mouth. That man was a hero. That's why I named my yacht after him. And if you keep talking like that, I'll never let you on the SS, real piece of shit, okay? Thank you very much, guys.
Live from the Gotham Comedy Club in New York City, Chuck Nice is taking the stage when we return. Stay tuned for more laughs on Axis TV. Welcome back to Gotham Comedy Live. More great stand-up coming your way starting right now.
All right. Welcome back to Gotham Comedy Live. Hey, we got a treat for you now. This next guy, you've seen him all over the TV. You're going to love him. Give him a hand. Chuck Nice, right here. Chuck Nice. Come on now, folks.
Thank you. Thank you for your unsolicited love and admiration. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, man, I'm feeling good. I am feeling good. I'm doing some things differently in my life. I did that. I fucking did that. Oh, it's my telepathy. Just calm down. Doing some things differently in my life. Going to the gym. I am working out. I do not suggest it. I don't know who thought of this, but I will tell you a better plan than going to the gym. Wake up at your appointed time. Put on some brand new gym clothes. Procrastinate. And then around 5:30 p.m., you say to yourself, oh, wow, it's too late to go to the gym. I guess I will go to a bar instead. Where people will look at me and say, he earned that drink. Clearly, he has just come from the gym. Something psychological happens to me at the gym. I don't know if it happens to you, but I'm drawn to one machine. I work out on the same machine every time I go to the gym. Even if the gym is empty, I go to the same machine. And I think it's not just me, because there's a little skinny white woman who works out on the treadmill in front of me every time I'm there. And she's so skinny, I don't even know why she works out. Seriously, seriously. That's her. But every time I'm at the gym, she is just working. And it pisses me off. Because I hate going to the gym. I hate working out. So I gotta play games with myself so I can stay engaged in my workout. So I make pretend I'm chasing her. So she's on there, and I'm behind her. But I get a little too into my game, and I forget my surroundings, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get you, white bitch! Which is probably not the best thing to scream out when you are ostensibly chasing someone from a stationary position. But she turns around, she sees me, that excites her. She's just like, ah! Now, of course, that excites me, and I'm like, I'm gonna get you, bitch, yeah! And that's when things got crazy, because I turned around and there was a cop on the treadmill chasing me. So now I go to a different gym. I'm so glad we could have fun with those stereotypes. Thank you. Traveling, of course, as your comedian, you travel a lot. I just got back from South America, where things were very scary for me. I got bitten by a mosquito, and it freaked me out because I watched the news. I watched the news, and I'm convinced of two things. One, I am pregnant. Two, my baby is in trouble. Somebody gotta help my baby. Because, see, that's what the news does, right? That's what the news is about. All they want to do is scare you. Anything they can do to scare you, that will keep you watching, which is why a virus is a beautiful thing. A little microscopic organism that we cannot even see. Oh, what a wonderful thing to scare you with. Oh, and they do it all the time. Remember N1H1? Remember that? It's a flu virus supposed to wipe out 1/3 of the world. 1/3 of the world. I was like, oh, my God, we're going to die from the alphabet and some fucking numbers. Don't even spell anything. How'd he die? I don't know. He couldn't spell. Then last year, it was Ebola. Remember that? Oh, my God. The news, they lost their mind on Ebola. Ebola came to New York City. We had one case, and the guy didn't even have Ebola. He just knew a fucker with Ebola. And the news went crazy. They're just like, Ebola. It's here on the Upper East Side. Ebola. It's coming to get ya. Ebola. It's from Africa. And people were like, big bad black scary disease coming to kill me. Oh no, not Ebola. No, not Ebola. Oh my God. I know a girl named Ebola. That bitch is crazy. And they almost got me. But then I did a simple little Google search on Ebola and I found out what most people will find out, which is, unless someone vomits on you or shits on you, which from what I understand is extra. Oh, thank God for you perverts. I thought I was going to be hung out to dry on that joke, but you perverts jumped right in there and saved me. But the point is, you're not getting Ebola. That's all there is to it. You're not going to get it. And once I found that out, Ebola became my favorite disease. I fell in love with Ebola because it got me seats on the subway. Some of y'all know where I'm going. And it worked, believe me, very effective virus. It worked. I get on at 5 o'clock, you know, the doors close behind you, you can barely move. You're like, oh my God, look at this. I can't believe this is my life. I can't believe this at all. Oh God, this is awful. And then it dawned on me, Ebola. And that's when I would do it. Look, I scared the shit out of this white guy right here. But it worked, and the people would look at me just like that, with shock and horror. And that's when I would say it. Oh my God, I am so sorry. Please forgive me. Even though that was unforgivable. See a doctor soon. I didn't get a seat. I got a whole damn bench. I lay down and take a nap. Hey guys, my name is Chuck Nice.
Live from the Gotham Comedy Club in New York City, Norm MacDonald is taking the stage when we return. Stay tuned for more laughs on Access TV.
Yeah, folks, it's been a while. Hey, let's get the comics out there. Come on up, huh? Unbelievable, unbelievable, unbelievable. You're all right. Hey, it's Chad Zumach. Here he is. Michelle Ballin, huh? Alexis Guerreros and Chucky Nice right there. You guys have been great. Thank you very much. And keep coming to Gotham. The next time I watch a WNBA game will be the first time I watch a WNBA game.
A lot of people talk about stand-up comedy nowadays. To say the art form has become very popular over the last 5 years would be an understatement. However, if you talk about stand-up comedy long enough, there is one name that is bound to come up through sheer tyranny of will. His name is
Norm MacDonald.
Norm MacDonald.
Norm MacDonald.
Norm MacDonald.
Who is Norm MacDonald? Some people describe him as the most unique comedic voice of all time, but if you ask Norm to talk about himself, he'd adamantly proclaim he's just an old chunk of coal. By the end of this video, you will know exactly who Norm MacDonald is, where he came from, some of the amazing work he's done, and what makes his style of comedy so unique. This is Norm MacDonald, the greatest comedian to ever live. On October 17, 1959, Norman Jean MacDonald was born in Quebec City within Quebec, Canada. His father, who owned a doghouse, was Percy MacDonald, and his mother was Fern MacDonald. He also had an older brother named Neil MacDonald, who was born 2 years before him. Both of his parents worked as real heroes, and by that I mean they were English teachers. Norm attended Quebec High School when he was a young man until his family moved to Ottawa, Ontario. It was at this time he transferred to Gloucester High School. Norm has claimed that he dropped out of high school at 16 years old, but he actually graduated 2 years early based on his extreme intellect and cognitive aptitude. It is confirmed that after attending high school, Norm went on to study philosophy and mathematics at Carleton University for a bit until he decided to drop out. What a gyp that turned out to be. Norm also attended Algonquin's College, with the core focus being journalism and television broadcasting, similar to his brother Neil. Around this time, Norm had done several different manual labor jobs in this time at Algonquin. In 1985, Norm decided to try stand-up comedy for the very first time at Yuck Yuck's Comedy Club in Ottawa.
You ever played the lotteries? Yeah. Man, I never played them. But you ever get a lottery ticket, somebody give it to you as a gift, like for Christmas or something? I always thought that was the weirdest gift to give somebody, a lottery ticket, you know? So here you go. Nothing. That's nothing at all there. From me to you, a worthless hunk of cardboard.
Unfortunately for Norm, he didn't feel great about his first time on stage, so much so that he actually ran out of the club and said he would never do stand-up ever again. Thankfully, the club's owner, Howard Wagman, had convinced him he had talent for the craft and that he should come back and continue to improve. After Norm continued to do spots in Ottawa and saw his stage presence and confidence continue to grow, he found himself regularly appearing at amateur nights at Yuck Yuck's Comedy Club.
So now I got a lift down here because I don't know how to drive. I can't drive. I gotta get my license. Gotta get my driver's license so I can go. I can have ID and stuff. Because I have no good ID. All my ID stinks. You need a driver's license for ID, or something, a credit card or something, You ever try to cash a check with that little card that comes with the wallet? They just look at you,
Some of Norm's comedic influences include Bob Newhart, Sam Kinison, Rodney Dangerfield, and many more. He quickly became a local favorite because of his keen observations and his incredibly dry, sarcastic delivery. Within 6 months, he was granted the opportunity to perform at Just for Laughs Comedy Festival in 1986, located in Montreal, Quebec. Norm did so well that he was immediately contacted by the Fortune 500 company Mangrade.
100% cast iron.
I'm just kidding. Norm did so well he started to catch fire and found himself gaining publicity from the Montreal Gazette, where he was considered as one of the country's hottest comics. Eventually, as Norm continued to grow and develop as a comedian, he received an opportunity to perform as a contestant on the show Star Search.
I smoked ever since I was a kid, so it's kind of tough for me, you know? I remember once I was 8 years old, little kid, behind my garage, sneaking a cigarette back there, and my dad caught me. He hauled me in. I thought I was in for the strapping of my life, you know? What he did is he pulled out a big cigar. Must have been half the size of my arm, this giant cigar. Stuck it in my mouth, lit it up, made me smoke it. All the way through, right to the end. That's when I started smoking cigars real heavy.
And more notably, he made his late-night debut on Late Night with David Letterman.
You seen these new sports on the TV where they'll try to combine two sports together and make up a new sport? You know, like a guy will run a 100-yard dash and then fish.
David Letterman instantly took a liking to Norm and went on the record saying if we could have, we would have had Norm on every week. David Letterman has gone on the record many times as well talking about Norm Macdonald and saying nothing short of exceptional things about him.
I love Norm, and my guess is, what I know of Norm is that he may not be working hard.
No.
But what he has is the same result as somebody who's worked hard.
Yes, yeah.
Which is, again, enviable, admirable, but God, he makes me laugh.
Letterman had also gone on to say how intelligent Norm was and how he was always the smartest guy in the room pretending to be the dumbest. However, along with these great opportunities for Norm, struck tragedy for the Macdonald family, because on October 29, 1990, Norm's father, Percy Macdonald, courageously waged a battle against heart disease that resulted in a draw. As sad as this news was for Norm, in 1992, he had to soldier on because he became a writer for the one and only season of The Dennis Miller Show. And after that, he was hired to be a writer for Roseanne Barr's show, Roseanne. He wrote for the show during the 1992 and 1993 season, and he eventually left the show to take part in one of Norm's most iconic roles in all of show business. It is undoubtedly one of the highlights of his comedic career.
Too bad that you had to get caught. That's not like you to lose face.
After many years of hard work and honing his craft of stand-up comedy, in 1993, Norm Macdonald joined the cast at NBC's Saturday Night Live, where he went on to do legendary impressions of Larry King, Burt Reynolds, David Letterman, Bob Dole, and many more. Then the following year, during the 20th season of SNL, Norm became the anchor on the satire news segment known as Weekend Update. Norm really stood out in this role because his style of humor was incredibly unpredictable, and it seemed as if there was no line he was not willing to cross. It didn't matter what the topic was either. Ellen DeGeneres being gay, prison, the Clintons. If Norm saw something funny within the topic, he would go right for the throat and he would not hold back. As mentioned earlier, Norm always had a dry and deadpan delivery within his stand-up comedy act, and there was absolutely no shortage of that in his time on Weekend Update.
Here we see the president and the first bitch. Jonathan Schmitz, the Jenny Jones guest who killed his secret gay admirer because of his fear and hatred of homosexuality, has been sentenced to 25 years in prison. Well, I guess that plan backfired, huh? And now it's time for Weekend Update's movie reviews. This week I saw Interview with the Vampire, and here's my review. Not gay enough.
To say that Norm took pride and basked in a joke not being received well by the audience would be an understatement. In fact, in some instances, it almost appeared that when the audience didn't like a joke, Norm enjoyed it even more than if they had all laughed in the first place.
O.J. Simpson's new fitness video was released this week, and hitting the shelves next week, Simpson's newest video, Dorf on Stalking. The crowd is torn.
If there's one word that could be used to describe Norm Macdonald on Weekend Update, I believe the most appropriate word would be fearless. Now, controversy was certainly Norm's cup of tea, but there was a string of controversial jokes that led to Norm being in hot water with Saturday Night Live management, the O.J. Simpson jokes. Norm did not shy away from jokes at the expense of alleged murderer O.J. Simpson, and it got so out of hand that Norm was supposedly told by Don Ohlmeyer, who was a friend of O.J. Simpson, to cool it with the O.J. Simpson jokes. As you can probably predict, Norm took this request and did what he does best.
Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California. Meanwhile, in Washington, Mayor Marion Barry praised the verdict as, quote, wise and just. And he called upon people of all races to please get him some crack.
It's hotly contested why Norm was fired from Saturday Night Live, but it is reasonable to assume that Don Ohlmeyer's frustration with Norm led to his firing from Weekend Update in 1997. I mean, this guy was a real jerk. However, when Norm was fired, the reason he was given was because of low ratings and for the fact that Norm, in their eyes, just simply wasn't funny enough. Norm Macdonald went on David Letterman's show and discussed this firing, and David Letterman was very vocal about how unfunny SNL had become over the years.
No, you didn't get fired.
Yeah, they fired me.
No, they didn't fire you.
No, I'm serious. I talked to a guy that said I'm fired. This guy, Don Ohlmeyer, who turns out to be the president.
Yeah, now I know Don Ohlmeyer, and
Yeah.
just between you and me, he's an idiot.
Oh. So he goes, oh yeah, I'm firing you there from the show. And then I said, oh, that's not good. You know? And then I said, why is that now? And he goes, oh, you're not funny.
Yeah.
And then I said, oh, Lord, that's even worse news, you know?
Norm also discussed his firing on the Howard Stern show, where Howard Stern echoed a lot of the criticisms that David Letterman also said. To further support the theory that Norm was fired for the OJ jokes, Jim Downey, a longtime writer for Saturday Night Live, was credited for writing a bulk of the OJ jokes that Norm read on Weekend Update, and he was also fired at the same time that Norm was. Whether or not this was a coincidence is still up for discussion, but a sizable portion of comedy fans tend to lean towards the idea that Norm was canned from Weekend Update for the constant jokes about O.J. Simpson. However, Norm stayed on as a cast member for a while, and he adamantly disliked performing in the show's regular sketches. Then on February 28, 1998, performed in one final sketch before his exit from Saturday Night Live as a whole. After Norm's exit from the show, he eventually shot a movie called Dirty Work where he was the lead actor, and this was Norm's big movie. Things got extremely petty because Don Ohlmeyer ordered NBC to not air any advertisements for Dirty Work out of retaliation for Norm's appearances on the David Letterman show and the Howard Stern show because he viewed it as disparaging to their brand. Luckily, Ohlmeyer's boss at NBC, Robert Wright, took issue with this and reversed the order immediately. Norm, to say the least, was furious about Ohlmeyer's conduct towards him, calling him a liar and a thug while insisting he had no ill will towards him and that the only people who took shots at him were Stern and Letterman. After all this, the Saturday Night Live debacle had come to a halt, or so the Germans would have us believe. In October 23, 1999, to the surprise of everyone, Norm Macdonald was invited back to Saturday Night Live to host the show. From what you've heard about Norm thus far, I think you know where this is going. I couldn't say it better than Norm, so let me just play part of the monologue for you.
When the people here asked me to do the show, I gotta say, I felt kind of weird, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to actually be on this show, They fired me because they said that I wasn't funny, But now, this is the weird part, right? It's only a year and a half later, and now they asked me to host the show. Because a year and a half, let's face it, is not enough time for a dude to learn how to be funny. Then it occurred to me, I haven't gotten funnier. The show has gotten really bad. So yeah, I'm funny compared to, well, you'll see later.
This marked a legendary moment in comedy where Norm once again demonstrated his fearlessness and his ability to be cutthroat while also keeping the crowd laughing the entire time he does it. After this monologue, Norm Macdonald became infamous, and it truly felt like he was on top of the world of comedy.
So sad that you're not as smart as you thought you were in the first place.
I mentioned Dirty Work in the previous section regarding the Saturday Night Live drama, but the movie itself was a very special time for Norm in his career. Dirty Work was a film about Norm that was shot by dear friend and comedian Bob Saget, and this is one of the first movies where Norm had played a significant role. Before Dirty Work, the only other movies we had seen him in was Billy Madison and The People vs. Larry Flint, so this movie was the turning point for Norm's career and led him to becoming the biggest movie star in all of show business, or so the Germans would have us believe. But seriously, this was an awesome movie for Norm Macdonald and Artie Lang, and it also ended up being a special moment for them because it was the last film that had featured Chris Farley, one of the funniest men who ever lived, who passed away in 1997. Dirty Work ended up being dedicated to Chris and his family. When it came to acting in movies, Norm would always say,
So anyways, he goes, I put you in the movie, man. I need a guy to... And he was going to give me a big part.
Right.
So I was like, no, don't do that. Like, I can't act. And he's like, don't worry about it. I go, seriously, Milos, I don't want you to give me a big part.
But besides that, he had always found himself being an extra in Adam Sandler's movies based on the fact that Sandler is a big believer in making movies with his friends that he finds funny, many of whom include former SNL cast members such as David Spade, Chris Rock, Rob Schneider, and not to mention Norm himself. Then in 1999, Norm starred in his very own sitcom, The Norm Show, also known as Norm, for 3 seasons. The show featured Artie Lang, Laurie Metcalf, and Ian Gomez. The Norm Show also featured Norm Macdonald, where he played Norm.
But I had a TV show once, Norm. I played Norm. Now I have him on my show, The Norm Show. I played Norm.
And the character he plays is a washed-up hockey player that has a severe gambling addiction. Norm took this role very seriously and gambled for many years to perfect his craft and become the best actor he could for this role. Despite only airing 3 seasons, The Norm Show was very well received by viewers because of the sarcastic wit and dry humor displayed in typical Norm Macdonald fashion. However, the show struggled to maintain a constant viewership based on the network's decision to constantly shift the days and time slots that new episodes would air. This lack of consistency with network scheduling led to a decrease in ratings and viewership, which ultimately led to the show ending on April 6, 2001. Probably the worst tragedy to ever take place in the year 2001. Reminds me of that other tragedy.
Where they took down the towers?
Yeah, all the stories came crashing down, you know. A lot like when we tried to write on The Norm Show. We couldn't... We try to write stories and it all come crashing down.
Despite the loss of his sitcom Norm in 2011, where he played Norm, he found his way back on TV for the sports show with Norm Macdonald. This show was absolutely wild in the greatest possible way. Norm used this show as a way to bring his irreverent style of comedy into the wide world of sports. If you think any of the clips I've showed you so far are out of pocket, this show was a sledgehammer of exactly that type of humor.
Hey, WNBA, I got an idea that'll sell some tickets, shirts and skins. President Obama is a phenomenal player at basketball for a president of the United States. But I think he's just mediocre for a black guy. Hey, what about bringing in Jackie Robinson? Only team with a black guy on it. That's not cheating?
A show including monologues, interviews, and sketch comedy, the show exemplified Norm's style of comedy perfectly: dry, razor sharp, and undeniably hilarious. The show had incredible ratings and a very dedicated fan base. However, the show only lasted 1 season. This decision to cancel a seemingly successful show came as a surprise to many. It must be the curse of the Doors. I must say, for an old chunk of coal, this guy had a really lucrative acting career. Norm Macdonald has 3 comedy specials: Me Doing Stand-Up, Hitler's Dog, Gossip and Trickery, and Nothing Special. Before we discuss the comedy specials, I'd like to take a brief moment, as all moments are, I suppose, and I want to talk about Norm's stand-up comedy style. I'll start off by reading Louis C.K.'s description of Norm Macdonald's comedy. I first saw Norm Macdonald on stage in 1988. I was 21 years old, and he came to headline a club in Boston where I had been doing stand-up for 3 years. Me and my friends had heard about him, so I went to check him out. Within 2 minutes, I was astonished by how goddamn funny he was. Just blown away. I laughed harder that night than I had in my life. I remember my comedian friends and I just sat and talked about him for hours after the show. I went back to see him 5 times during the week he was at the club. He instantly became my favorite comedian, and in 30 years since, he's never stumbled far from that rank. Every time I see or hear Norm, he's doing something new and better than the last time. He gives me a new favorite comedy bit. The last thing is that there is not a single other comedian like him. He falls into no genre or category, just comedian. I seriously fucking love Norm Macdonald. Please buy his book. He probably needs the cash. He's really bad with money. Louis C.K. Louis really nails what makes Norm so special. When you talk about other comedians, you can usually put them into a category. When it comes to one-liner comedians, you can name Jimmy Carr, Mitch Hedberg, Anthony Jeselnik. Or if you talk about observational comedians, you can name George Carlin, Bill Hicks, Louis C.K., or Louis Black. These comedians are deemed similar because of the category their comedy falls under, but Norm Macdonald is simply an enigma. There's no other comedian that you can categorize him with. He's irreverent to the point where he basically invented his own niche of comedy, and it's a truly special thing. All three of Norm's specials are incredibly funny and brilliant. Today I will just be talking about me doing stand-up, undoubtedly one of the greatest comedian specials ever recorded. Norm opens this special and wastes no time before getting into material about death. He takes this incredibly grim topic and makes these observations about the way we fear our own death and how ridiculous it truly is. Within seconds, he's absolutely lighting up the crowd when the subject is something that all people find a bit troubling.
I think actually scientists should kind of look into that whole death thing because they seem to focus on diseases. And, I don't give a fuck about them because, the guy go, hey, we fixed your arthritis. And they go, I'm still going to die? They go, yeah.
He then goes on to joke about cancer.
But I'm pretty sure if the cancer dies, if you die, the cancer also dies at exactly the same time. So that, to me, is not a loss, that's a draw. That's a, you know what I mean? It's not like fucking the cancer's gonna jump up and go, I'm fucking Uncle Bert's wife. Where is he?
The news.
Now listen, man, I like the news. You guys like the news? I always watch the news, and I'll tell you something about the news. I don't understand it. But it's for some reason I watch it.
How he would murder a woman.
What I would do, and I would never, ever kill a lady in cold blood. I wouldn't. I know I say that now. I don't really know. I can't predict the future, but I don't believe
Alcoholism.
He has the disease of alcoholism. And he came to me, and he told me, and I like to look, I'm the kind of guy who likes to look at the bright side of things, So I told him, I said, Richie, it's true that you have a disease and everything, but I think you got the best one.
Tiger Woods.
That the world's greatest athlete over there, Tiger Woods, you're telling me that guy, that super handsome, charismatic dude, likes to lie down with ladies? I don't buy it. I don't buy that for 1 second.
And last, but certainly not least, O.J. Simpson.
As much as I was indignant about his acquittal, I'm equally indignant about his going to prison for stealing his fucking own shirts. I don't think that's fair.
I would go into greater detail about the jokes, but I don't want to ruin it for you. I'd recommend checking the special out yourself. The entire thing is available on Spotify for audio and YouTube. Norm demonstrates his ability to tackle taboo topics with some levels of observation, sarcasm, and irreverence that he has always been known for. This type of comedy is what made him such a unique comedic voice, and why he's so original in his act. If you'd like to watch the other two comedy specials, Nothing Special and Hitler's Dog, Gossip and Trickery, they are available on Netflix, and you will definitely love them if you're a fan of anything Norm. We took a dive on Norm's unique style of stand-up comedy. However, when getting a better understanding of Norm's sense of humor, that's only one piece of the puzzle. Another thing that makes Norm Macdonald such an enigma is the way he acted around other people. There are some hilarious stories about Norm Macdonald that will give you an insight as to what makes him laugh and how he thinks. One of my favorite stories is a story of Norm Macdonald trolling some young comedians who were opening for him. Listen to this.
And so Norm was headlining, and I think there were 3 or 4 comics who were doing 5, maybe 8-minute sets. And at that time, it was all the material they had. They were new comics. And okay, I've polished off my set. I got these jokes. And now I'm going to go out with this guy who's a great headliner, and we're going to do this big corporate gig. And so at the gig, as they were starting, Norm off the top said, I'm just going to go out there and kind of warm up the crowd, you know, do a little teaser, and then you guys do your sets and I'll come back. So Norm went up and apparently did everyone else's material. Did all the, is this the story?
Oh
did
my
all their
God.
jokes. And what I loved is what I was told to me. They're like, first off, those are the only jokes we had. But the worst thing about it is Norm's jokes were better. Like our jokes were, he had 3 hours and he was going to do an hour on this show. So he was only doing it to fuck with them.
So Norm went up before his openers, stole their jokes, then they all had bad sets just for Norm to close the show and kill. On top of that, they rode in the same bus after the show. I mean, who the fuck does that? I don't know anyone else who would do that, but it's absolutely hilarious. Another hilarious story is the time Norm MacDonald hosted the YouTube Awards show with Jenny Slate and Kasim G, and just made a complete mockery of the entire thing. Here's a few of my favorite parts of it.
Joining us in the show before the show living room is host of Norm MacDonald Live on YouTube, the wonderful Norm MacDonald.
Yes, and Jenny, all the stars are here.
Do you want a microphone, Norm?
Yes. Is that my tree?
What a disaster.
Jenny, all the stars are here.
It's true.
Beardy Man, Claude Racine, Dax Flame, Betty Fine,
You got it.
and Raphael Fine. All the stars
You really keep up with all that
are
stuff.
here tonight. Oh, yes. Harley Morenstein is here.
We're joined by the talented trio called the Lonely Island.
Yeah,
Who
you know
will be
what I
on the
call
big...
them?
What do you call them?
I call them Sandberg and the other couple of fellas.
The Mind Squad. See your face?
Oh, yeah, it's me with a huge fat fucking face.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of trouble. My doctor, he said, he's not a very nice guy. He said, open your mouth and say oink.
Yeah, you need to get better insurance, Norm.
Insurance? He was calling me a fat pig.
Well, I mean, nobody's going to disagree with him.
Oh, Kasim.
I'm sorry, Norm. I've got an acid tongue.
You do. You're an acid-tongued Arab.
Talk to him. Talk to him right now. Talk to Barf.
Listen, Barfy Man 362. No, you cannot rape my mother with a knife.
It's the biggest show in YouTube history, and Norm MacDonald shows up in a hoodie and sweatpants in the California heat and just starts going for the head right away. Fucking hilarious. I don't know whose idea it was to have a YouTube event hosted by Norm MacDonald, but it went so badly for them it reminded me of that tragedy.
Hey, for the 9th consecutive year, Nick, JetBlue Airlines ranked first for satisfaction among all North American airlines. But you know what ranked least in satisfaction? 9/11 Airlines. What a terrible name for an airline. It reminds me of that tragedy. Oh, 9/11. Yeah, don't laugh at 9/11 again.
One of the funniest stories about Norm MacDonald is the story Jim Brewer tells when he was touring with Norm and they did a clean comedy show in Iowa. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then holy shit, are you in for a treat.
We get to the gig and is packed. And they go, now listen, there's kids here and there's students and alum and the dean and all these people here. So
that's the worst.
They're like, yeah, clean. I get it. No worries. Norm goes up. I'm not even exaggerating. The first thing he says, he goes up, he goes, I'm preparing. I'm like, this is going to launch my career. Are you kidding me? This is going to be huge. I'm going to be all... He goes, fucking... Man, the fuck out of me? First person to even curse. Right? I went, oh, shit, he cursed. And he goes, so, if you're gay, would you rather be the ass guy or the dick guy? This is what he starts off with. So I go, Daryl, you gotta come see this. And he's going, and he won't stop. He's like, because if you...
Undoubtedly, one of the funniest Norm MacDonald stories of all time. This is yet another display of Norm's fearlessness, and the fact that he can just lean into an embarrassing moment with such pride that would tear apart 99% of other people. Patrice O'Neal would be proud. How about the time Norm MacDonald did the roast for Bob Saget and told inoffensive jokes from an old school joke book? Norm was told by the producers on Comedy Central that he should try and be as shocking as possible and that there were no lines. So Norm, being a master of misdirection, goes up and does this.
And Cloris Leachman is here. Cloris? Cloris, if people say you're over the hill, don't believe them. Why, you'll never be over the hill, not in the car you drive. Susie Essman, of course, is famous for being a vegetarian. Hey, she may be a vegetarian, but she's still full of baloney in my book.
What an absolute madman. There's so many great Norm stories in existence, but I will only share one more, and it's my absolute favorite. One time Artie was doing a theater gig for Norm in San Francisco, and I'll just let Artie tell the story.
Norm just loves torturing people, and he does it in the most brilliant way. Right. He comes up to me and goes, listen, man, we're in fucking San Francisco. No gay shit. And I go, oh, all right. Well, if I played San Francisco before, he goes, nah, that's like you're at a club. There's a fucking theater, man. There's critics out there. Don't fuck me, man. No gay shit. And I go, all right, fine. So I go, all right, 20 minutes, and I have 4 seconds at that point in my life without gays. So I get through the 20 minutes. I introduce Norm. Norm walks out, and I'm listening from the back. Before he says, good to be here, you're a great crowd, nice to be here, the first thing that comes out of his mouth, hey, how about that AIDS? He goes, you know, I read all this bad shit about AIDS, but then I read that AIDS doesn't discriminate. And that's kind of nice.
I was howling laughing the first time I heard that story. It would seem that Norm has like a metal detector that allows him to sense what would make someone the most uncomfortable, and he goes right for whatever that is just to make himself laugh, and we're all just there to enjoy the ride as well. Things like this might devastate another comedian's career, but Norm uses it as a way to further build his audience around doing what he believes would be the most entertaining. It would seem Norm was trolling other people before the internet was even invented. If you think these stories are funny, I'd highly recommend checking out I'm Not Norm on YouTube. He posts all the content regarding Norm, and these stories, among many others, can be found there. Picture this. You've seen all Norm's content on TV, and you want more. You are foaming at the mouth looking for more. What if I told you there's a podcast that features Norm Macdonald and his Holocaust-denying sidekick, Adam Egget? You'd probably go down to the rope store and rickety stool store right away. Seriously though, that brings us to Norm Macdonald Live. These podcasts are hilarious. Additionally, there are episodes on Netflix titled Norm Macdonald Has a Show. However, a lot of fans of Norm claim these episodes simply do not raise a candle to the episodes that can be found on YouTube. Norm Macdonald Live is vintage Norm Macdonald with an additional element. Some fucking douchebag whose face looks like a cunt. Adam Egget, the booker of the world-famous Comedy Store, acts as Norm's sidekick in this podcast, and he takes the bullet a lot of times to allow Norm to make an incredibly funny point.
He says, I love this podcast. It was great to see Norm Macdonald back, and Super Dave was the perfect choice as first guest. Lose the douchebag.
He's talking about me.
Well, we don't know if he's talking about you.
He's clearly talking about me.
He is talking about you.
He will also be a punching bag for the guests that Norm brings on the show, and the guests on the show do not disappoint. The show usually runs the format of a regular podcast, except for towards the end of the show, Norm will pull out a stack of blue cards that all have jokes written on them, and they will read the jokes for the folks at home.
This is the section where we do jokes. Do you want to read one? Just read into that camera for the folks.
The first episode went live on March 26, 2013, with the guest being Super Dave Osborne. This episode was full of memorable moments. One of my favorite moments is when Adam asks Super Dave where he gets his ideas from.
Adam had a question he wanted to ask you about your comedy.
Yeah, I've been chomping at the bits to ask this one. I've been thinking about it all week. Norm told me to come up with some questions for you, and I've just been dying to know, where do you get your ideas from? Well, I mean...
This is a recurring bit from the Norm Macdonald Live episodes, and it's hilarious every single time. The context here is one time Norm was on Tom Green's show, and this dude asked Norm where he gets his ideas from, and Norm was simply dumbfounded by the retarded nature of that question.
Where do you get your materials, your comic material? Is it through your magazine? or real life situations that's happened?
That's an excellent question.
It is. It's a good one. It's almost like what inspired you to ask that question, sir?
Well, you know, I kind of think of myself as being a comic as well. And if you need some material, I can give you some right now.
I imagine there's several clips of Norm being asked this, but the Tom Green interview is the one that stuck out to me the most. As a result, Norm finds humor in this question, so now he tortures every one of his guests by feeding Adam this question and having him ask it to them.
Yeah, I've been dying to know, where do you get your ideas from? Norm.
Oh, yeah, you know what you're doing. That's a good one.
No, I really, I've been watching you for years, and I've always been really curious. Where do you get your ideas from? I think it's been really a thorough interview. I always wanted to know where he got his ideas from, but I think never been asked that before. Where do you get your ideas from?
Anyway, the Super Dave episode ended on a high note with Norm giving Adam and Dave some jokes to read. Upon seeing the content of the joke, Super Dave said this.
Do you understand that we're on the air?
Yeah. Oh, right.
Even so, Norm soldiered on and read the joke that really set off Super Dave.
Some gold-plated chains would make a nice retirement gift for a very, very good slave.
Are you serious?
Well, this was written...
Are you serious?
This was written years ago.
Did you just write that?
I didn't write it.
Did you just say that?
No, I read it, yes.
You read that?
It was written, obviously.
Oh, my God almighty, I'm not part of this.
No, it was written
No,
before.
I'm not part of this. No, you can't read that.
And from there it only got worse. As I mentioned earlier, Norm seemed to have an internal metal detector that could just pick up on anything that made someone uncomfortable, and then for his own enjoyment, and sometimes the audience enjoyment, he would just lay into that topic. Another thing that made Norm's show stand out were his hilarious ad reads. The most iconic sponsorships Norm had were Man Great and Dollar Shave Club. These companies gave Norm a word track to follow, and he followed that while also making his own rendition of it.
For $1 a month, have all your shaving needs met? I mean, on your face?
Well, you can use it for anything.
Well, that's true.
Do I have to only use it on my face?
No, they have no rules here. They have no rules.
Then yeah.
Of course, they have no rules. They send fucking razors to your house.
They can't be high quality razors for $1 a month.
They're the highest quality razors in the world. You can slit your wife's throat. What about the Man Great?
Is that like a genital cleanser?
No, my God. You can put chicken on this or steak. That's not that unique. No more dry meat. What do you think of that?
Good. You want your meat juicy.
Oh, come on now. Don't make it sound like a fucking fat, plumpy, delicious cock. There's more fucking facts about the Man Great than about Nick. Chicken, steak, has never tasted so good.
Absolutely hilarious. Every podcast has sponsors, but Norm made the ad read so absurd and off the rails that eventually he lost Man Great as a sponsor, and he didn't even fucking care.
That was our only sponsor.
Oh, yeah, and you lost.
Yeah, now we found out we lost Man Great as a sponsor. And then earlier today, I think we were told legally we can't say we lost them as a sponsor even.
Yeah, I think we were still waiting to find out if we were allowed to say that.
But anyways, that was
who cares? We lost them.
That was Nick Schwartzen that fucked it all up.
This, among so many other moments, just made this podcast for comedy exceptionally different, and a show I can go back to consistently and laugh my ass off. The show aired its last episode on YouTube October 3rd, 2017 with Jim Carrey, and many clips and funny moments are still circulated by Norm fan channels on YouTube to this day. So it's safe to say that Norm Macdonald Live left a mark on the world of comedy that will not be forgotten anytime soon. David Letterman and Conan O'Brien have very different styles when hosting their late-night shows, and very different personalities. one thing they have in common is their love and admiration for Norm Macdonald, and that's for a good reason. Norm has made some of the most legendary late-night appearances to ever be seen on television. Many of these moments are still talked about by comedians today. A lot of comedians briefly tell the hosts of the show what they're going to talk about when the camera is rolling. This usually consists of some bits of material they really like or some true stories they think people would really enjoy to hear. However, Norm was often very coy to reveal what he would talk about. And then when the cameras were rolling, he would tell a completely fake story with a punchline at the end that would waste everyone's time, but by the end of it you were laughing your ass off and wanting more.
I also love Norm Macdonald because he comes on and his stories are all invented. None of them are real. They're all old farmers' daughters jokes. And he pretends he'll come on. I'll say, "What's up, Norm?" He'd be like, the other day I was walking down the road and a pirate comes up. I'm like, "What?" Yeah, a pirate comes along and he's got 3 pigs with him. One of them is wearing a hat, one's got a pipe, and then it's just...
This was the superpower that Norm had whenever he was on a late night show with any host, and Conan describes it in this way.
A complete waste of everybody's time that's absolutely delightful and hilarious.
He could take your time, completely waste it right before your eyes, and have you laughing all while he does it. It takes a tremendous amount of balls to waste someone's time so willy-nilly, but there's just something so electric about Norm's cadence and delivery when he's on late-night shows, not to mention the fact that he was always sharp as a tack with his sarcasm, dry delivery, and his hilariously smart-ass observations mannered in typical Norm Macdonald fashion. One of the most famous clips of Norm killing it with Conan was done on May 15th, 1997, when Norm was a guest along with Andy Richter and Courtney Thorne-Smith. Norm was always on fire, but his appearance stood out because he was going back and forth with Conan showing off his wit, and Conan continued to egg him on until Norm hit one of the greatest moments in late-night history. I'll let the clip speak for itself.
Why weren't you watching our show, pal?
Because I wasn't on it that night.
All right, no, stay. It's a Zeppelin. All right.
Are you talking about Melrose Place? No, because
You're the biggest ass I ever met. I love you for it. But what's the movie going to be called? Really?
I know what it's going to be called.
Yeah, what's that?
If it's got Carrot Top in it, you know what a good name for it would be?
What's that, Norm?
Box Office Poison.
She's in it.
What about my career?
Courtney Thorne-Smith, the girl sitting to your left, is in the movie.
I'm going to go see it for Courtney.
There's this movie coming out.
Yes.
Title undetermined at this point.
Chairman of the board.
Oh, all right. Do something with that, you freak.
I bet the board is spelled B-O-R-E-D.
Thank God we have the internet, so this legendary moment will live on forever. Another great moment was the time Norm told the moth joke. A lot of people argue that this was Norm at his very best on Late Night with Conan, and I really can't decide what I like more. The moth joke is a simple one-liner joke that Norm turned into a horrific story of a man's life crumbling mixed with Russian names from a Dostoevsky novel. I'm not going to show you the whole clip, but I'd highly recommend you go enlighten yourself and watch the Norm Macdonald moth joke in its entirety.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office.
A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, right?
You are correct. A moth goes into a podiatrist's office, and the podiatrist's office says, "What's the problem?" And the moth says, "What's the problem? Where do I begin, man?" He goes, "I go to work for Gregory Olinovich, and all day long I work. Honestly, Doc, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. I don't even know if Gregory Olinovich knows."
Finally, Norm doesn't often get sentimental in his comedy. He tries to just focus on what he thinks is funniest, but there's been a few times where he's let it show. The final comedy set on David Letterman's late night show was Norm Macdonald, because there's no person more fitting for this spot based on Dave's admiration of Norm. Then, without a shadow of a doubt, Norm absolutely destroys. Then at the end, he takes a moment to sincerely thank Dave, while also breaking down in tears because of the sheer gravity of the situation.
So anyways, I'd just like to say, I know that Mr. Letterman is not for the mawkish, and he has no truck for the sentimental, but if something is true, it is not sentimental, and I say in truth, I love you. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Very funny, Norm. And thank you. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Norm Macdonald, ladies and gentlemen. That was very sweet, Norm. Good night, everybody.
Imagine growing up with a comedy hero, doing your late night debut on his show, and then being so funny you end up becoming one of his heroes, and then being asked to do the last ever stand-up set on his show before it ends. It's enough to make a grown man cry. Any artist with a heart would sob their eyes out at an opportunity like this. It's even more sentimental when we look at it again, knowing what we know now.
Get away, get away. I watched with them.
Well, you guys knew this part was coming. On September 14th, 2021, the world of comedy was shocked and saddened to find out that Norm Macdonald had lost his life to acute leukemia. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe O.J. Simpson changed his name that quickly to acute leukemia. Norm's death is certainly the saddest thing to happen in the month of September. Alright, I'll stop. But the day I found out about this news, I was genuinely heartbroken. I don't really care about a lot of celebrity deaths, but this one was different. Many comedians shared this reaction to Norm's death.
2 weeks ago, he texted me, "How are you? What are you doing? Are you doing stand-up?" And I answered him with, much too many words. And then I didn't hear back. And then last week, I got a text, and it just said, "I love you." And I didn't say much back. I just said, "I love you, Norm." And that was my last communication with him.
But when you're telling little one-liners, you're kidding me.
No! We just found out that Norm Macdonald passed away. Oh my God. I love Norm Macdonald.
He's young. And there it goes.
I don't know what to say.
Me either. That was breaking news, but you'll know now when you listen to this when we recorded it.
Norm had been battling cancer privately for almost 10 years. He didn't tell anybody besides close friends and families because he didn't want him and his comedy to be viewed differently. And to me, that is just so damn precious. For over 30 years, Norm dedicated himself to the art of comedy and misdirecting his audience. He spent decades mastering this ability. You expect a vile and shocking joke, he gives you a silly joke. You ask him to lay off the OJ jokes, he gives you 30 of them back to back. You expect him to say something funny, and he makes a sincere and profound statement that rocks your entire world and warms your heart. Norm is a master of observation, timing, cadence, quick wit, and he used all these tools to become the greatest comedian to ever live. On top of all that, Norm is also just a deeply thoughtful human being with a heart of gold, and his energy would always light up the room. And he didn't have a fucking lighter, nothing like that, but he was just special. There's just no other way to put it. If you're sad the way I am, take this bit of advice from the man himself. Take all the love you have for Norm and his comedy and give it freely to all that you meet. Norm will look down upon each and every one of us and be proud. This has been Norm Macdonald, the greatest comedian to ever live.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you so much for watching this video to the end. I really wanted to make this video as good as it could be, and I think it turned out very well. And if you could like the video and subscribe to the channel to see more future documentaries, that'd be awesome, because I think I will make more videos like this in the future. I just wanted to make this video to really highlight what made Norm Macdonald so special to me and what I think makes him so special to other people. I'm a young stand-up comedian, and seeing a guy like that just go up there and do what I want to do one day and make people laugh in the way that he did, make people smile the way that he did, is just a magical thing, and nobody can take that from us. And it's just really cool to see. And like I said, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, because in the beginning it was my little project, and now it belongs to you. And I really hope you guys enjoyed it. So once again, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. God bless, and take care of yourselves.
The only country that really worries me is the country of Germany. I don't know if you guys are history buffs or not, but...
How does Norm Macdonald tell a joke? When it comes to telling jokes, there are very few comedians who are at the caliber of Norm Macdonald. It seems like when you watch him tell a story, it very quickly turns into pure chaos. But in that chaos, a tremendous amount of humor and laughter can be found.
Hey, let me ask you this. Did you ever toss a prostitute off a bridge?
What Norm does may seem like a mystery to you, but Mark Twain details exactly what he does in the book How to Tell a Story in Others, and we will get into that in just a second. You could be watching him tell a simple one-liner joke about a moth entering a podiatrist's office. You may even know the punchline for this joke in particular, but the way Norm diverts away from the ending of the joke to give us a therapy session from the moth's perspective makes you completely forget that he's telling you a joke. He begins sharing how the moth is working a dead-end job for a terrible boss in a loveless marriage, and how his children are very sick. And by this point he's gone so far off the deep end, you've completely forgotten about where the joke is supposed to go because of your investment in the moth's struggles. Throughout the story, every nook and cranny, Norm makes you laugh over and over again, and he hasn't even delivered the punchline yet. Then eventually, after you've eaten out of the palm of his hand for enough time, Norm throws away the punchline in a fashion where you feel like an idiot for not expecting it. How on earth did Norm pull this off so effortlessly any time he appeared on late night television? First of all, Norm Macdonald has been doing stand-up comedy for well over a decade, in some of these clips over 2 decades, so by the nature of repetition, Norm had mastered the art of his comedic delivery and his ability to tell a humorous story long before a lot of his most popular clips you've even seen on late night TV. Along with that, Norm was an avid reader who greatly appreciated the works of writers like Leo Tolstoy and Mark Twain. Mark Twain actually wrote a short novel called How to Tell a Story in Others. This is what I will be using today to help illustrate exactly how Norm Macdonald tells a joke on late night TV. When you open the book, in paragraph 2, Mark Twain says, "There are several kinds of stories, but only one difficult kind, the humorous. I will talk mainly about that one. The humorous story is American, the comic story is English, the witty story is French. The humorous story depends for its effect upon the manner of the telling, the comic story and the witty story upon the matter." Then in paragraph 3 it reads, "The humorous story may be spun out to great length and may wander around as much as it pleases and arrive nowhere in particular, but the comic and witty stories must be brief and end with a point. The humorous story bubbles gently along, the others burst." When you read this, what do you immediately think of? It almost feels like Mark Twain wrote this right after watching a Norm Macdonald joke on Conan's late night show. It emphasizes that the destination in the humorous story is not of any real significance, and that the constant setting and breaking of expectations is what makes it incredibly special and entertaining for the listeners. However, the comic story that you typically hear from friends or family members is essentially just one big build-up for an often mediocre or unsatisfying ending. Anyone can tell the comic story, but it takes a lot of practice and patience to tell the humorous story. This type of story resembles anti-humor in the capacity that the ending is sometimes anticlimactic, but I think the biggest distinction is that anti-humor is a joke told with the intention of its unfunniness being humorous, but the humorous story is mainly told while the artist just ensures that the journey is enjoyable with less of an emphasis on the ending of the joke. Mark Twain even says in the next paragraph when he writes, "The humorous story is strictly a work of art, high and delicate art, and only an artist can tell it." This is why I preface this analysis by telling you how Norm had been doing stand-up for decades before we ever heard the moth joke or heard him call his wife a battle axe. To tell any of these jokes the way Norm tells them takes many hours and many years of hard work and repetition. Mark Twain is not exaggerating when he says it is a high and delicate art that can only be told by an artist who has mastered the ability of comedic delivery and storytelling. Twain details the difference between the humorous story and comic story even more so in the next paragraph when he writes, "The humorous story is told gravely. The teller does his best to conceal the fact that he even dimly suspects that there is anything funny about it. But the teller of the comic story tells you beforehand that it is one of the funniest things he has ever heard, then tells it with eager delight and is the first person to laugh when he gets through, and sometimes if he has had good success, he is so glad and happy that he will repeat the nub of it and glance around from face to face, collecting applause, and then repeat it again. It is a pathetic thing to see. This is the difference between a joke that Norm MacDonald tells and a joke that your dad tells at a Thanksgiving dinner. When I first read this paragraph, I immediately thought of the most convoluted joke ever that Norm does on the Conan O'Brien show.
Went by the name of Jacques de Gautier. While I was scrabbling to get out of high school, Jacques Zagatineau had already...
I think he just changed his last name.
Well, you know, a man grows.
He pretends there's absolutely nothing funny about the line, "a man grows," when he delivers it so subtly. This is an incredibly funny subversion, but Norm says it as if he has no idea it's about to crack the entire room up, and that's part of the beauty that Mark Twain articulates for the humorous story. Very often, of course, the rambling and disjointed humorous story finishes with a nub, point, snapper, or whatever you like to call it. Then the listener must be alert, for in many cases the teller will divert attention from the nub by dropping it in a carefully casual and indifferent way, with the pretense that he doesn't know it is a nub. Another fascinating thing about Norm's delivery is when he fools you into thinking a story or joke is done, and you quickly realize after you laugh that you're still in the setup of the joke, and that you're just trying to pay attention and see where he's going to take you next. Mark Twain also detailed someone named Artemus Ward, who commonly used this trick when he was telling a humorous story, where he would deliver a joke, and when the audience took a second to catch and they started to laugh, he looked up with this innocent surprise on his face, as if he didn't just say something hilarious. Another important part that Mark Twain highlights about the humorous story is the pause. Mark Twain says, "The pause is an exceedingly important feature in any kind of story, and a frequently recurring feature too. It is a dainty thing, and delicate and also uncertain and treacherous, for it must be exactly the right length, no more and no less, or it fails of its purpose and makes trouble. If the pause is too short, the impressive point is past, and if too long, the audience have had time to divine that a surprise is intended, and then you can't surprise them, of course." Another thing Norm is a master at is exactly that in his comedic timing, and he uses the pause as much as he can to make a funny story even funnier, as mentioned by Mark Twain in How to Tell a Story in Others. Now, I have no evidence that Norm MacDonald read this story by Mark Twain and used it as his blueprint for late-night television appearances, but I do know that Norm MacDonald was an avid reader of Mark Twain's literature and has a deep appreciation for his work. I can confidently state, though, that this short novel by Mark Twain describes in great detail what Norm MacDonald is well known for in his late-night appearances, because the format is extremely similar. I'm going to show you each of the elements we covered from the novel in a joke Norm tells on Conan titled, "Norm MacDonald Tells the Most Convoluted Joke Ever."
Jacques de Gautier. Jacques Zagatineau.
I think he just changed his last name.
Well, you know, a man grows.
As I mentioned earlier, Norm setting up Jacques de Gautier's name twice and then saying it wrong as Jacques de Goutinat the third time just to slide in a silly joke sets up a sequence of expectations that are then shattered by Norm, leading to a huge laugh from the audience and Conan. Specifically, Mark Twain says, "To string incongruities and absurdities together in a wandering and sometimes purposeless way and seem innocently unaware that they are absurdities is the basis of the American art, if my position is correct." And Norm does this right here perfectly. The next part that stands out to me is when Norm MacDonald tells Conan about SeaWorld as if nobody in the world has ever heard of it.
SeaWorld there. You know how they have the SeaWorld? You know, with the different fish. You know.
I didn't know that, but okay, yes.
Beluga.
The SeaWorld, I've been there many a time.
Okay, so
Conan plays along with it, and in the meantime, the crowd is eating this part up because Norm plays it off so well that he's sincerely talking about it as if nobody knows what SeaWorld is.
So I was checking out the beluga whales and stuff, and I look over, and who do you think I see?
I hope it's that guy.
No, it was just an attendant, but...
And in the next clip here, Norm sets us up to think he's seeing Jacques de Gatineau at SeaWorld, and when Norm asks the question to set up the pause, Conan applies pressure to the pause and makes it even more powerful. Then right as the crowd quiets down, Norm delivers that it's not Jacques de Gatineau with perfect timing, and it causes the crowd and Conan to burst into laughter once again. Then after Norm has warmed us up, he delivers the final punchline where Jacques de Gatineau is feeding baby dolphins and says to him, "I'm serving a youthful porpoise."
So he was feeding these baby dolphins, you know, and I said, "I'm ashamed of you, Jacques de Gatineau." He said, "I think I'm serving a youthful porpoise." Now, I believe that...
If there were no incongruities and absurdities in the story, this would have certainly been the shittiest comic story ever. But because Norm understands that the journey in the story is more important than the destination, he's able to deliver this corny-ass punchline and get a big laugh from it. Norm made the entire story funny and interesting to listen to, so as a result, the ending, being anticlimactic, doesn't really hurt the joke at all because it's not the landing point. When you understand the chasm of difference between a generic comic story and a beautifully delivered humorous story, you come to appreciate Norm's ability to pleasantly waste your time even more so than before. This is why Norm is held at such a high regard in his late-night appearances. This is why Conan speaks so highly of what Norm did in telling these fake stories and wasting everybody's time so highly. Telling a joke like this takes years and years of hard work, and it cannot be learned overnight unless you are simply gifted beyond measures. All in all, this is how Norm Macdonald tells a joke.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching to the end. A quick reminder that the best way that you can help this channel for 100% free is by subscribing down below so that you can see more content when it comes out in the future. I believe 99% of the people who watched my last video on Norm Macdonald were not subscribed to the channel. So let's go ahead and fix that. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Take care of yourselves. God bless, and I'll see you in the next one.
This is the legendary trolling of Anthony Jeselnik.
He won't be fully appreciated until he's dead.
So I always looked up to him, always loved him, which is why meeting him and getting to work with him was such a huge disappointment.
If you're a big fan of stand-up comedy, you're probably well aware of the comedian Anthony Jeselnik, who is well known for his incredibly dark one-liners and his arrogant, over-the-top attitude on stage. Anthony is a very great comedian, but there was a time in his career when he was outsmarted by one of his heroes, comedian Norm Macdonald, while they were working together. As a fan of both of these comedians, this story is an incredibly humorous one, and if you're unaware of the story about the time Norm and Anthony worked together on Last Comic Standing, then you've come to the right place. I will be detailing the story between these two comedians and how it was a legendary moment when Anthony Jeselnik was trolled by a comedian who he genuinely admired. To get a crystal clear understanding of what happened between these two, we need to start off by establishing the full timeline of events. In early 2015, Anthony Jeselnik was called and asked by his manager if he wanted to replace comedian JB Smoove as the host of the reality television talent competition show on NBC titled Last Comic Standing, to which Anthony Jeselnik replied, "Why the fuck would I want to do that? That show sucks." Anthony originally wanted nothing to do with the offer, but then he was informed that the judges would be Keenan Ivory Wayans, Roseanne Barr, and Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald is one of Anthony's biggest comedic influences, and upon realizing he'd have the opportunity to work with Norm, he would accept the offer to host Last Comic Standing on the spot. Upon accepting the offer, the season of Last Comic Standing would air on July 22nd, 2015, and during the shooting of the show is when all the action would take place. Despite Anthony's eagerness to work with his hero and former Doghouse owner Norm Macdonald, he cited that the first few days of filming were incredibly rocky and difficult, and that he and Norm did not get along at all.
They asked me to do it, and I thought, oh, that sounds awful. And they're like, no, it's you and Norm Macdonald. And I was like, oh, I'd love to work with Norm Macdonald, thinking that it would be fun to work with Norm Macdonald. And then we just hated each other for like 8 days. We would just like yell at each other. We would like yell at each other. We'd have to like take breaks to calm down. And it's like hard when you're like upsetting one of your idols. You're just like, shit.
He also expressed disappointment in the fact that NBC decided to cut out all of the fights that him and Norm got in, because even though it was uncomfortable for him, he believed that it was great television and that people would really enjoy it.
And then we'd talk after each episode and be like, well, at least it's gonna be great television. And then they cut all that shit out. They're like, oh, this interesting stuff. No, we gotta get rid of that to watch these open micers go head to head.
According to Anthony Jeselnik, NBC also messed up in the editing room and did not do Norm justice at all, because apparently he had some very blunt and brutal moments with some of the contestants where he absolutely trashed them as comedians.
And Norm was like borderline a monster to people. Like, he would say things that would kill me, that I would be like on the floor dying laughing. Like, I would have to take time. One of my favorites was he told this one girl, he said, he goes, "I think that you are incapable of writing a joke." And she goes, "Oh, well, I'll work on that." She's trying to be nice. She's like, "Okay, thank you. I'll work on that." And he goes, No, don't work on it. I said you are incapable." And that was the most like crushing thing he could have said to someone.
So this one lady came up on stage to do comedy, and Norm didn't see any way that this lady could do comedy.
I'm not going to guide any lady through comedy. That would take me, first of all, I'd have to figure out how a lady could do comedy. You know?
What a jip that turned out to be. You know it's not a jip? Liking the video and subscribing to the channel if you're finding value in the content you're watching. I appreciate you guys watching the video. So Norm was incredibly vicious towards some of the contestants. I actually recall one clip where this one comedian did some material making fun of the Bible, and Norm basically called him a hack while the other two judges called him brave. Check this out.
He was like, "Men do not live on bread alone," Matthews 4:4. And it's like, everybody's a little bit magic. Harry Potter, chapter 7.
I disagree. I don't think the Bible joke is brave at all. I think if you're going to take on an entire religion, you should maybe know what you're talking about.
So Norm was very direct to the contestants when he didn't like them. I mean, he could not have been more leashed. Anthony would then proceed to talk about why him and Norm fought so much. He describes it as two alpha males trying to show who is the funniest comedian, which to me just sounds like Anthony being a deeply closeted gay man.
What are you fighting about? Just like, who's going to be the funny one? It's just two alpha males.
Anthony's not lying, though, because there was a couple clips of him and Norm exchanging wits, and it's pretty funny. There's one clip in particular I will show because, personally, it made me laugh.
When you were at the ATM machine, you were no longer a black guy. You were a human being.
That was great. Almost racist, but then you got it right under the bar, Norm. That's why I love you.
This clip makes me sad because if that was left in the final cut by NBC, then there must be some absolutely horrendous but hilarious moments between Anthony and Norm that were left on the cutting room floor. However, Anthony proceeds to talk about how after the first few days of working together, he and Norm started to get along better, and unsurprisingly, the two of them would become a unique and unstoppable comedic force together, and they would make for some of the funniest moments on the show. But none of it made it to the final cut. Then after the taping of Last Comic Standing, Anthony details an exchange between him and Norm when they were backstage getting ready to record press episodes with Larry King on his show. While backstage, they were brainstorming ways to promote the show because apparently Norm had no idea how he was going to do it. Then Anthony suggests that they go on the radio in interviews, and when asked about each other, they would just publicly insult each other and talk shit to promote the show. When Norm heard this, he agreed to it immediately and said he thought it was a great idea.
And so we're backstage at Larry King, and he's like, "I don't know how to promote this thing. I don't know what to talk about. So when I talk about these comics," and I go, "No, let's do this. Let's say that we had this horrible rivalry, and that we hate each other, and just talk trash about like things we would do to each other backstage, and like all these how much we hate each other." He goes, "That's great. Let's do that. That's really funny." And I'm like, "All right, great."
There was one interview where Anthony was asked about it, and he stuck to the plan for every single interview he did. Here's one that comes to mind.
You know, like not every joke has to hit. You don't want to be a crowd pleaser. You want to be a great comedian. And Norm seemed to always be going that way. So I always looked up to him, always loved him. Which is why meeting him and getting to work with him was such a huge disappointment.
Norm MacDonald, who was amazing.
He'll be here in a little while.
He wasn't that great, to be honest. Like, I know he's probably listening to this a little bit, but like, between you and me, it's more my show.
It wasn't a bit. It was like he was pontificating about things, and female comics especially got it rough.
Yeah.
And it didn't make. He would love someone and hate someone else, and it didn't make. There was no rhyme or reason.
Then Anthony talks about how when backstage, he was the first person to record with Larry King, and when Anthony was asked about working with Norm, he said, quote, "Larry, Norm MacDonald is a piece of shit," end quote. According to Anthony, he could hear Norm laughing backstage. Then when he went backstage, Norm was still laughing about what he had said. Then when Norm goes on Larry King, Anthony's backstage listening, and then Larry asks him about Anthony Jeselnik. Then Norm proceeds to say, quote, "Larry, Anthony Jeselnik is one of the greats, end quote. Absolutely hilarious. Additionally, Anthony would continue to do more and more press while keeping up with this plan of trashing Norm every time to promote the show, and Norm would do the exact opposite. Anthony actually talks about how he believed that Norm had just completely forgotten about the conversation they had, but in this interview it would appear that Anthony did not realize that he had just been played like a fiddle by Norm MacDonald.
So I go around for weeks, and I'm just throwing Norm under the bus, talking about how much I hated him and what an awful person he is. And Norm has completely forgotten that we've made this deal. Norm is just talking about how nice I am and how funny I am everywhere we go. And he still hasn't brought it up to me, but I can't think he's happy.
Now, considering the fact that Norm is now taking a dirt nap, there's no real way for us to 100% confirm if Norm forgot or if he just didn't follow through with the plan, knowing full and well that Anthony trashing him would make him look like a world-class douche, especially if Norm isn't being rude as well. However, if I was a betting man like Artie Lang, I'd put money on the fact that Norm absolutely knew this would make Jeselnik look like an ass, so that's why he did it. In fact, that's what a lot of the Norm fanbase has also agreed on, so I think it's pretty safe to say that's what happened. It's a funny story, and in fact it's one of my favorite stories because it involves two comedians I really enjoy. As much as I like Jeselnik, he had to take this one on the chin because he was trolled by one of the masters of trolling. Furthermore, some of the details of this story I picked up from seeing Anthony Jeselnik live very recently details the interaction between him and Norm and how Norm was the only celebrity he was ever really excited to meet. And if Anthony releases a new special sometime soon, you will all get to hear this story from his perspective for yourself. I like Anthony, I love Norm, but I just thought this story was too good to not share on the channel, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it. All in all, this was the legendary trolling of Anthony Jeselnik. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching the video to the end. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to support the channel by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on post notifications down below, because that's a free way to help the channel out, and it also helps the community grow brick by brick. I want the YouTube family to hit 100,000 subscribers this year, so please help me out with that by subscribing to the channel. If you want to support the channel further, you can check out the Patreon page down below, where you can get some exclusive benefits like getting to see videos early, getting to see exclusive content like a podcast I recently recorded in my set at the Tampa Improv. You also get to play a direct hand in the direction my channel takes, and you get shoutouts every single video. Shout out to Jason Murray, Crossblocker, Ethan, Thomas Gill, and Karsten, the newest patron, for supporting me on Patreon. Anyway, hope you guys love the video. Make sure you take care of yourselves, your friends, your family, and your loved ones. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. This is Norm MacDonald vs. O.J. Simpson, a full recap.
Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California.
I no longer take that position with O.J. Simpson. He was found not guilty. I see him as the greatest rusher in the that's all he's guilty of to me, is the greatest rusher in the history of the NFL.
With the recent death of football player and acquitted murderer O.J. Simpson, the world of comedy has erupted with conversations about O.J. Simpson and made plenty of jokes at his expense. Unfortunately for the world, one of the all-time kings of O.J. Simpson jokes, Norm MacDonald, was unable to log into Twitter and make jokes because he's currently in the middle of a dirt nap. O.J. Simpson and Norm MacDonald have quite the history, and it makes sense because they both have a lot in common when you think about it. They're both savages at their crafts, they're both black, and they were both murdered by some douchebag named Cancer. I don't know this Cancer guy, but I'd like to punch him right in the goddamn face. No, but seriously, these two legendary men were brought together by comedy, and today I will be paying homage to these two killers and covering some of the iconic and timeless moments featuring them that bless the world of comedy. If that sounds interesting to you, then let's hop right into it. Picture this. It's 1994, and you're casually reading the news, and you see in the news that Nicole Simpson and Ronald Goldman were found stabbed to death. And you then find out that O.J. Simpson, one of the greatest running backs in the history of the NFL, is suspect number one. At the same time this is happening, Saturday Night Live is very popular and buzzing about the trial immediately after O.J. Simpson was taken into custody and formally charged with murder. A lot of the comedy on the show was relatively neutral and not too on the nose, despite the fact that a lot of them probably thought O.J. was guilty behind closed doors. However, there was one man at Saturday Night Live that was different from all the rest. One fearless host of the Weekend Update news routine that was not afraid to say what he really felt about O.J. Simpson. That man was Ellen DeGeneres. Just kidding. That man was actually Norman Gene MacDonald. If you're a subscriber of this channel, then Norm MacDonald needs absolutely no introduction for you. But if you're not a subscriber of this channel, you can change that really quick if you're finding value in the content you're watching. Anyway, Norm MacDonald is often described by fellow comedians and fans of comedy alike as one of the most ballsy, fearless, and dangerous Weekend Weekend Update hosts to ever sit behind the desk.
Andy, you said something once. It was after a Norm segment, and Norm had annihilated. He had done really well, as he always did. You said to me, that guy doesn't care in a way that frightens me.
During the trial, Norm was absolutely vicious with the O.J. Simpson jokes. It seemed like Norm would have several new O.J. jokes every single episode of Saturday Night Live. Some of these jokes are considered to be some of the best jokes to ever be told on Weekend Update.
In a brilliant move during closing arguments, Simpson attorney Johnny Cochran put on the knit cap prosecutors say O.J. wore the night he committed the murders. Although O.J. may have hurt his case when he suddenly blurted out, "Hey, easy with that. That's my lucky stabbing hat." And in court this week, Cato Kalin testified that O.J. Simpson did not appear angry before or after the period of his wife's murder. But Kalin admitted he could have been a touch edgy while he was actually murdering her.
Nobody had really gone at O.J. Simpson like this before, and given his status as one of the most famous and successful football players at the time, this made the case extremely divisive amongst Americans. Norm would lean right into this divisiveness and go right for the throat time and time again, and it would lead to him getting some pushback while working at Saturday Night Live from management. Norm would write most of these jokes with one of the head writers at the time, who was named Jim Downey, and Jim has talked about how they went through the process of writing these jokes before. Many months later, in September 1994, the murder trial would begin for O.J. Simpson, and with this commenced Norm and Jim Downey launching an absolute assault on O.J. Simpson and anyone who thought he was innocent. Obviously, with this came many more jokes, and with many more jokes came hot water for Norm Macdonald behind the scenes at Saturday Night Live. Norm would be confronted by Don Ohlmeyer about the O.J. Simpson jokes, and Don was one of the executive producers at NBC who was very high up on the corporate ladder in the entertainment world. The reason for Don's frustration with Norm was that he happened to be very good friends with O.J. Simpson, which is an odd choice when you think about it. I've never been friends with a murderer before, but something tells me that those guys are real jerks. Don would tell Norm and Jim to tone down with the O.J. jokes a little bit, which was an absolutely ridiculous request when you consider the fact that Weekend Update on Saturday Night Live was a heavily topical news segment which was made to poke fun at current events. So what the hell were they supposed to do? Just ignore one of the biggest criminal trials of all time to make the producer more comfortable? To hell with that. Eventually, after many more hilarious jokes by Norm and Jim, the O.J. Simpson case would conclude with the Juice being found not guilty of murdering those two people that he absolutely murdered. Then Don would approach Norm and Jim again and say to them now that the trial was over and that they should just move on and stop doing O.J. jokes because at this point it's old news. As you could all probably predict, that's not the cloth from which Norm is cut. After being told this, he would then go on to open Weekend Update with this joke immediately after the trial's conclusion.
Thanks, I'm Norm MacDonald, and now the fake news. Well, it is finally official. Murder is legal in the state of California.
After this happened, Don Ohlmeyer made a move to have Jim Downey removed from the show as a head writer, and Don brought this to Norm's attention. When he asked Norm if he was fine with them doing this, Norm said that he would not do the show without Jim Downey, and that if they fired Jim from the show, that they would have to fire him as well. An incredibly loyal move from Norm. They really didn't want to let Norm go, but it was necessary if Jim was going to be fired, so both of them ate the bullet. And then it was perpetuated that the reason Norm was fired was because he wasn't funny, and we all know how that turned out, because Norm would then return to host a few years later. Anyway, even after his firing from SNL, Norm Macdonald would not lay off the O.J. jokes. He would then host the ESPYs just 1 year after his firing, and this would once again demonstrate how vicious Norm was when he went after someone. With the ESPYs, we got this golden moment at the end of the show.
And there's Charles Woodson. How about that? And what a season he had. Great, man. He became the first defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. And congratulations, Charles. That is something that no one can ever take away from you. Unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case... all bets are off.
Despite no response from O.J. Simpson publicly about Norm's many jokes towards him and his guilt, O.J. would wisely stay silent and just never address these jokes. You might think that this would conclude the saga of Norm Macdonald and O.J. Simpson, but similar to the jurors who thought O.J. was innocent, you would be wrong. In June 2007, O.J. Simpson would release his book titled If I Did It, Confessions of a Killer, which is a tongue-in-cheek way of O.J. discussing how he would have went about his life if he did murder his wife and a waiter. But lucky for us, the book is listed in the fiction section at libraries, and O.J. is clearly not guilty of anything. Then later in September 2007, O.J. would find himself in legal trouble once again. This time it was for stealing his own memorabilia that he claimed was stolen from him. He was found guilty and sentenced to 33 years in prison with the chance for parole after 9 years. When this news was released, it would lead to Norm writing a new chunk of material about O.J. Simpson that we would then hear on his 2011 stand-up comedy special titled Me Doing Stand-Up, in one of the funniest bits about the O.J. Simpson trial to ever be recorded. In this bit, Norm claims he's changed his opinion on O.J. Simpson given his acquittal, and then states how he finds his new sentencing highly unfair. Listen to this.
Well, I've changed my mind on O.J. No, I'll tell you what I feel about O.J. As much as I was indignant about his acquittal, I'm equally indignant about his going to prison for stealing his fucking own shirts. I don't think that's fair. I don't think if you steal your own shirts, you should get 35 consecutive life sentences.
So Norm once again finds the funniest way possible to joke about O.J., but this time in a much more sly and indirect way. Absolutely phenomenal. In the meantime, Norm would make many tweets about O.J. Simpson. Some of the jabs that were directed at O.J., he probably himself could have found humor in. For example, this tweet of Norm saying he knows where O.J. is golfing because of the house behind him, or this tweet where he says he's in Vegas with O.J. and they're both golfing and how fun it could be, or this now deleted tweet where O.J. says his mother is the only person to call him Orenthal, and Norm replies, and lived to talk about it. Great use of Twitter from Normie, and then many years later, Norm would be on Lights Out with David Spade on December 2nd, 2019, where he would speak about O.J. Simpson for the final time. I'll show you that here.
Now in this cancel culture and everything, I have to say, I no longer take that position with O.J. Simpson. He was found not guilty. See him as the greatest rusher. That's all he's guilty of to me, is the greatest rusher in the history of the NFL. Yep. Maybe I was the greatest rusher to judgment.
All that for that?
Then just 2 years after this, Norm Macdonald would die of cancer in September 2021. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that O.J. Simpson changed his name to Cancer before killing Norm. It truly was a tragedy to find out that O.J. outlived Norm Macdonald, and it's even sadder to know that O.J. had one less person on Earth that he could kill. Then just recently, as I typed this, it was released that O.J. Simpson had lost his life to cancer, which is really sad to think about because O.J. Simpson won so many football games in his life, but the last thing he ever did was lose. What a loser that guy was! Upon the announcement of O.J. Simpson's death, there's a plethora of people who are going back and watching Norm Macdonald on Saturday Night Live roasting O.J. Simpson, and it's bringing a whole new appreciation for Norm that hasn't always been there. It's nice to see Norm getting some of the recognition he finally deserves for killing his wife and wait a second. What I meant to say was killing it on the Weekend Update. Anyway, I hope you guys learned something from this video, and if you like it, you can subscribe to the channel and like the video. Also, there's some bonus content on my Patreon if you want to check that out in the description below. But all in all, this was Norm Macdonald vs. O.J. Simpson, a full recap.
This year, he says he's only going to eat meat that he's actually killed. And I was wondering, what are you adhering to lately?
I'm a vegetarian, a strict vegetarian.
No, have you done that?
Well, I eat chicken.
It's not all that.
That's not vegetarian.
I'm not. I said I'm not strict. I eat chicken and
steaks
beef, pork. I ate raw game. Did you ever eat? It's not dead yet.
No, you're
and
over
you
there.
eat it, and as you're eating it, their death throes are making you hungrier. That's better than a soybean.
Yeah, you're right.
Which sounds better, that or soybean?
Listen.
According to retailers, the most popular Halloween mask this year is O.J. Simpson. And the most popular Halloween greeting is, I'll kill you and that guy who's bringing over your glasses, or treat. This week on Larry King Live, Marlon Brando made the shocking statement that Hollywood is, quote, run by Jews. In response, outraged Jewish organizations made it snow in New York in April. See, I think we should get the homicide out of the White House and get like a fresh start, because we don't want any more murderers.
I think we should just go on to the next question.
Oh.
Who are the murderers? Yeah.
Oh, Clinton, he murdered a guy.
Yeah, you know, we're not allowed to, you're not allowed to put out no accusations without
That's a little
Charlotte.
too far.
That's the way it does work.
Let's just go on to the next question.
Yeah.
This is not my week. What can I tell you?
Oh, it's not mine either, and I'm being very nice, okay? Be a good boy. Now, Norm.
Do you never hear that?
No. Listen,
Norm,
we don't need
I
to
don't
talk
want to get
about
into
that.
this, and I don't want to hear it, and this is not the place to make those accusations. And you're supposed to be funny. Let's get on to the next question. So get with it.
There you go.
This is a live show.
Not for nothing, Norm, but you have been properly chastised by Barbara. So I'm now going to ask the next question.
I thought it was a matter of record.
Shut up.
Shut up. Look,
Okay.
let me do this, okay?
I'll tell you what's a matter of record. You will not be invited back if you don't shut up. All right, now.
You've admitted that you're lazy. I think you've read 6 books in your life.
I've read 6.
6. What kind of a woman would be attracted to you, do you think?
Well, I have a lot of money. Hey, for the 9th consecutive year, Nick, JetBlue Airlines ranked first for satisfaction among all North American airlines. But you know what ranked least in satisfaction? 9/11 Airlines. What a terrible name for an airline. It reminds me of that tragedy. Oh, 9/11. Yeah, don't laugh at 9/11 again. 9/11. I tried to tell him not to laugh. Adam. I know. I walked through blood and bones in the streets of Manhattan trying to find my brother.
Jesus.
Yeah, he was in northern Canada. Here we see the president and the first bitch. Hey, slow down, you bitch. Let me catch up. When I accepted the honor of performing here tonight, one thought crossed my mind, and that was, please, God, don't let me bomb in front of the president. But I'm not worried. What the hell do I care? You know, I worked on all my jokes. I got a lot of help from my joke writer, Don Imus. He was helped me a lot. Are you familiar? You know this guy? He's a funny guy. He wrote some jokes. Anyways, the dinner was great. You enjoyed the dinner? We had some salmon. Yeah, it was delicious. It was great, and I thought it was refreshing to see Democrats serve something other than subpoenas for a change. I thought that was nice, you know? I'll be doing some jokes later. I just thought I'd... well, one time I was on his other show, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and it was Celebrity Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, so the questions are a little easier.
Yeah, you won.
I heard they didn't give you the money.
Yeah.
No, they give it to a charity. They don't tell you.
That's
No, they give it to sick children.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's nice. They need money too.
Are you drunk? Because all you did was ride a cooler and you're sweating.
I am. Well, it's hot it's hotter than a $2
Well, he's
pistol
got like
in here.
12 layers on.
Yeah,
I think.
I thought it was going to be really cold.
Well, you're from Canada. This should be springtime for you.
No, I know I'm from Canada, but I'm still a human being. Like it's not like we evolved differently. Yeah, no, I'm from the frozen north.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets colder than a. It gets colder than a.
Oh, here it comes.
no.
Get your finger on the panic button.
No, it gets colder than a vampire's demeanor.
Okay, that's better.
Wow. Surprisingly cerebral.
What are you guys up to, man?
We're joined by the talented trio called the Lonely Island.
Yeah,
Who
you know
will be
what I
on the
call
big.
them?
What do you call them?
I call them Sandberg and the other couple of fellows.
The Mind Squad
The
is
other
how
couple.
Rolling Stone put it.
The iron horse of broadcasting.
It's iron. You don't pronounce it iron.
That's what everybody
No,
tells me.
It's the iron horse. Like Lou Gehrig was the iron horse of baseball.
Yes.
The word I-R-O-N is iron. No, iron.
Iron.
That's what makes English the world's toughest language.
Yeah.
You know, right? Sure.
It is the
Because
toughest language.
language
To me,
learn.
it's the easiest.
Yeah, well, you were born with it.
In his book, O.J. Simpson says that he would have taken a bullet or stood in front of a train for Nicole. Man, I'm going to tell you, that is some bad luck when the one guy who would have died for you kills you. That's probably... You don't get worse luck than that.
You know about this girl? She's mad at you. She was on the Greg Fitzsimmons show. Did you hear anything about this?
I know Greg Fitzsimmons.
Yeah, Greg does a show for us, and Greg was interviewing some girl, and she was going off.
I know who it is.
What's the girl's name?
You know, me and Norm have worked with her before. That's why he's going to laugh when I say the name. Laura Keitling. Hates your guts.
Did you know she hates you?
No.
Oh, my God. Do you want to hear the clip? Sure. All right, hold on.
By the way, can I interrupt your old friend, Norm MacDonald? Did you guys write together on,
He's not a friend of mine.
Roseanne, right? Well, I was just using it loosely.
Now, you had a reaction just
not a
now to
friend
Norm
at all.
MacDonald. Not a friend, not a fan.
You worked with him, though.
At Saturday Night Live.
Roseanne.
No, I missed him at Roseanne. Well, I came in, and he was supposed to be the my guide through SNL, and it turned out that...
Well, I mean, I barely remember Laura from the show, except for her hit characters, obviously.
I don't even know who she is.
But
She's very talented.
She makes Morweena Banks look like Gilda Radner. But no.
You had a look of surprise on your face, even when this woman said, well, you know, Norm was supposed to be my guide through Saturday Night Live.
Guide?
Did anyone inform you that you were her guide?
No.
There was no such mentoring program at Saturday Night Live, was it?
No, she came in directly after me, so I wouldn't be her
mentor?
Yeah, I'm not going to guide any lady through comedy. That would take me, first of all, I'd have to figure out how a lady could do comedy. You know? And then I'd have to... The new people, hey, guess what? There's a young girl that's middling attractive that swears a lot. Let's get her. What? Is that the new fucking thing?
Yeah.
Sarah Silverman, hysterical.
Right.
Who's funnier than her?
Nobody.
No, except dudes. But,
Nobody.
And people had very strong opinions on the election. You know, some people had very strong opinions one way, and other people had strong opinions the other way. And I didn't have any opinions at all. I don't have really any opinions on anything. Like, you ever watch the CNN, and they'll have the polls, you know, and it'll be like, what do you think about embryonic stem cell research? And then it'll be like, see, there you go. It'll be like 52% yes, 46% no, 6% I don't know. See? And that's me. I don't know. So I phone up the CNN, you know, and I go, hey, listen, is this the TV? Yeah, that question you asked about the embryonic stem cell research? I don't know. And there's Charles Woodson. How about that? What a season he had. Great, man. He became the first defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. And congratulations, Charles. That is something that no one can ever take away from you. Unless you kill your wife and a waiter, in which case... all bets are off. Just a word of advice.
How's life on the road?
I got a kid.
You have a kid?
Yeah, man, when you have a little baby, like, I guess I never loved anybody before, you know? And when I had the baby, it was like, oh my God, like you have all this love and you feel like so incredible, you know?
And like single guys can't understand it. Like, so I'd be telling them, I go, this is like the most unbelievable feeling you'll ever have in your life, you know? And they'll go, like, is it like crystal meth? And I'm like,
He's brilliant, Byron Allen. He had that Comics Unleashed. You ever do that? Oh, you couldn't be more leashed.
There's nothing. It's not like there's nothing unleashed about it. It's not like you would have like Lenny Bruce on and like.
And he has no segue. So this is what he said to John Lovitz one time. He said, he just turned to him from, he's talking to Schimmel, and then he goes to John Lovitz. He goes, now, John, I understand you're growing older. This is my promise to the people of the video podcast network world. I will not eat a single morsel of food until Margaret Thatcher is dead and buried.
She died 3 weeks ago. We'll be right back with Larry King.
The weirdest show I ever see the dating game. That's a weird show. The prize on the dating game, another contestant. Talk about cheap, you know, they chuck you somebody else. And they always do the same thing on the dating game. They get a beautiful girl, match her up with 3 big geeks, you know? Last week they had a guy, I was like a crazy guy, loony bin, psycho, wingnut, crazy guy. You can tell by the way they introduce him, you know, they go, bachelor number 2 is a shadowy, lurking character. From no fixed address, please welcome. Guy comes shambling into the studio, well-thumbed copy of Catcher in the Rye sticking out of his back pocket area. And then they made the girls ask those questions. They always be laced with sexual innuendo, you know. Girl got to go, bachelor number 2, if I were a popsicle. What would you do to me then? What? That's what it says in the card here, something about a popsicle. And then the guy goes, well, if you were a popsicle, huh? Well, first of all, I guess I'd take your wrapper off. If you know what I mean. Then I'd grab a hold of your sticks. If you know what I mean. Then I'd press you against the counter till you're broken too. But half you in the freezer till later. You know what I mean? You understand what I'm getting at there?
I play with him.
You do. How old is he now?
How old is this young man?
He's 15 years old.
15 years
You're
old.
still playing with him.
Right.
You know, it's a funny thing.
Yeah.
When he was a very young boy, you know, when he was like 3, 4, or something like that, I would play games with him. You know, like we'd play basketball or something.
Sure.
And I'd let him win.
Right.
You know, and now he can beat me at everything. And so he's like, hey man, I always beat you at everything. I said, no, fuck, I used to let you win. You go, fuck, he doesn't believe it.
He always beat you.
Yeah, so he just thinks I'm some retard that can't beat a fucking infant.
But you know, it is rather daunting to me. I'm just a guy, you know? What the hell am I? And here I am, you know, I look out, I see President Bill Clinton, you know, I see Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, you know, media mogul Rupert Murdoch, you know, broadcast legend Larry King, you know, pornographer Larry Flint, you know, Dick Morris. The list is starting to drop off a little, folks, but still, you get the idea. It's daunting. And of course, it was very inspiring to see President Clinton up here on crutches making a speech. I mean, I thought that was just amazing, you know. I mean, it's been difficult for the president, you know. He can't jog now, and he needs help getting around, and he still occasionally suffers great pain, you know. On the upside, you got your medical marijuana, so that's, you know. You must inhale, sir. It's the only way you're going to get better.
How's the family? How's everything going?
Ah, great, man. Couldn't be better. Life is fantastic.
Yeah.
I like life, man.
You do, really?
Oh, my God. People that complain about it. First of all, you're lucky enough to be alive when you think about it.
You know what I'm saying? Your mother had to have sex with your father. That your grandparents had to have sex. Great-grandparents had to have sex. It's lucky you're alive, my God.
It's amazing.
And I'm so happy every day that I'm
should
alive because it's just a fluke. There's so many more people that never got to be alive. You know? And,
that's an interesting point. I guess you're right. If you do the math.
So when people carp about it, I'm like, man, it's the greatest gig in the world, being alive. You get to eat at Denny's, wear a hat, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, get haircuts. It is. Well, good. I'm glad.
It was revealed today that O.J. Simpson told police that Nicole Brown Simpson used to beat him up. He also claimed that she and Ron Goldman killed him.
I met that guy, Michael J. Fox.
Yeah,
and
people know him.
It was before he was
the love star.
Yeah, it was before it was out that he had that thing.
He has Parkinson's.
Yeah. But it was before that.
All right.
So I met him at Holly. What do you call that? What?
So I might ask you to go to the black and white thing in around 5 seconds.
No, Disney World. No, it's quick. It's quick. Disney World. I meet him. You know, I'm excited to meet him. You know, so I meet him like 10 years later, and here he is. Now he's got Parkinson's. And I go, you remember me? You know, I met you when I was young, and I met you at Disney World and everything. And he goes, yeah, I just got a thing. I'm not crazy.
Did he say that?
Yeah, I said I'm not crazy.
Oh, that's so
but I didn't mean this. I didn't mean that. I just meant. Do you remember?
Listen, I've got a couple young tykes who want to kiss the ring. You ready to receive this, or you're not going to flip on these cats? Anybody who loves you, you have to torch. That's your MO.
Torch? What am I, Jeffrey Ross?
Well, let's go. Let's go.
But no, you know, I admire people who have strong opinions. You know, like Linda Rodstad. She did that thing. You know, where she got up and sang and everything, and then she started talking. And then people were going, God damn, I thought she was supposed to sing. And she just kept talking, and finally they were like, come on, man, sing those only 2 songs we ever heard you sing. We're trying to... $45 ticket I'm holding here. And, you know, celebrities have, they can speak up, you know, they're smart, you know, some of them. Most of them are dumb, but some of them... Because I meet celebrities. I'm a celebrity, and so I meet celebrities, and I know as soon as I shake their hand, I know, hey, there's a dumb guy. You know, because I'm a dumb guy myself, and I got that, you know how gay guys have the gaydar? I'm like that with dumb people. I'm like, hey, how's it going? Hey, I could have a conversation with you, man.
People are just like me and you.
I know.
How many times do I have to tell you that?
Well, you tell me that all day. How I'm just like all the you know, gay people.
Gay people are the same as everybody.
No, you mean you always tell me specifically how I think you're just calling me gay. It's one of the.
It's not an insult. He
no,
thinks it's an insult.
No, I didn't mean it.
Why would being gay be an insult?
Yeah. I love gay people.
Yeah, I know.
Well, let's get to O.J. O.J. Simpson's lawyers say they don't want the families of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman in the courtroom during the trial. They're afraid the presence of the family members will just remind O.J. of how much more killing he still has to do. Finally, folks, next week, Jews everywhere will be celebrating the holiday of Yom Kippur, or as non-Jews refer to it, Wednesday.
But Bob is a very, very funny man, and I often go in the booth with him, you know.
Oh, sure.
So one time we were there, and John Fogerty was in the audience. You know, a fortunate son, you know. So John Fogerty was there, so Bob Uecker is a very interesting guy. He thinks of everybody as the same. He doesn't think of people as stars or anything like that. He's a very down-to-earth guy. So he was talking to me, and he says, hey, man, you know that guy? I go, yeah. He goes, that's John Fogerty, rock and roll singer. So I go, yeah, I know who it is. He goes, yeah, man. He goes, but I played in a golf tournament with him. He goes, you probably think of him as some that likes to bite the heads off of chickens, but this guy can...
That's exactly how I think of him.
This guy can get it out of the sand trap like nobody's business. So he goes, he's got a hell of a set of pipes on him. He goes, come the 7th inning stretch, I'll have him up here. He'll sing for you. So I said, no, Bob, don't do that. Like, don't have him come up and sing for me, please, you know. He goes, what's matter, man? Don't you even know who he is? He got all mad. So I go, yes, Bob, I know who he is. He did Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, he did all that. Now, do you think Cosby's legacy will be hurt?
Yeah.
You do, huh? I mean, there was a comedian, Patton Oswalt, he told me, I think the worst part of the Cosby thing was the hypocrisy. And I disagreed.
You disagree with that?
Yeah. I thought it was the raping. That's my feeling, most rapists are hypocrites. You don't meet many go, I like raping, and I know it's not politically correct, but by God, people go, well, he's not being a hypocrite, and that's the worst part. It's a question from Blake's good friend, Norm. No, Blake, it's fun watching you this year. Wasn't it cool?
Yeah. Thank you.
And I was wondering, like, there's a kind of a curse with Rookie of the Year. Nobody's ever repeated it.
I didn't think about that. Well, I'll try as hard as I can next year, but
all right, man.
I don't know. Thank you for that question, though. That's going on top of the goals for next year.
Do you know the Harlem Shake?
Yeah, I've seen it on every single commercial.
You've seen it. Then you'll appreciate this joke. I remember back when the Harlem Shake was just a black fella holding me upside down off a fire escape trying to collect his money.
Can you find out what...
You know, it just occurred to me, Mr. President, you are now handicapped, and you're the President of the United States. You must have an unbelievable parking spot, you know? Let's try to be very close to the building, you know? Reveal this week, the defense lawyer Johnny Cochran once abused his first wife. In his defense, Cochran said, hey, at least I didn't kill her like some people I know.
Fun. Norm, thanks for dressing up.
Hey, Sarah, listen, man. Congratulations, that's the 100th time that joke's been done tonight. But I also want to tell you, I have a bet with Daniel Kellison, a rather large figure.
Daniel Kellison, who put this whole thing together way over his head.
He says you
did it.
He says you can explain what the fuck Jash is.
Jash is
pay up, fucker.
Jash is a comedy collective, a United Artists, if you will. Uniting myself, Reggie Watts, Michael Cera, and Tim and Eric. And what do? We do whatever we dream up. We shoot it, and it goes on there. We can fail, we can do well. It's total freedom.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
You got me, Norm.
I mean, I've never heard the word collective.
I know, but
Leon
Daniel
Trotsky
puts buzzwords in my head, and then I just blindly
out
say
of all
them.
those people you mentioned.
I know you're new to this. I'm going to teach you something. One of the first things in hosting an interview show is to listen.
What's that now?
The answer given by the guest. My whole motto, my whole broadcasting career, that's why I don't like a lot of guys on the air now, is that I never learned anything when I was talking.
Can I interrupt you there?
Yeah.
To illustrate the point that their client is running out of money to defend himself, O.J. Simpson's lawyer said this week that if he had to do it over again, after killing his victims, O.J. would now rob them as well. That one you find troubling? We went.
Did I tell you I ate a live fish in real life?
No.
Yeah, I was at a sushi restaurant, and the guy's like Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go, I eat just sashimi, like raw fish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't eat with rice or anything like that.
Yeah.
Am I trying to impress him? So he goes, you eat live fish? I go, yeah. Even though I don't.
And he goes,
never think he's going to call you on it.
yeah, and I go, plus it sounds kind of cool. And he goes, I get you live fish. I go, thanks, man. Like I was an inside guy, and then he brought out a fish and hit it and knocked it out and put it on a stick. It was live. And that clears out a sushi bar. A lot of people, the girl I was in was barfing in a bathroom, and the only people interested was the guy, the Japanese sociopath guy, and all the Mexican help. They were all like looking like I'd eat it, and so I had to cut it. And then they leave the fish that's on the skeleton that looks like the one Sylvester found on a garbage thing. To move. It's moving and like a dead bobblehead, and you had to put water in its mouth to keep it alive so you could watch it die as you ate. It was a nice meal.
Jesus, I'm living such a hell life compared. I mean, you are.
If you guys think it's weird that guy in Cleveland kept 3 women in his basement as sex slaves, wait till you hear what my middle-aged Uncle Gordon kept in his basement. A fucking electric train. At least these were human beings.
At least.
Living the great life, living the dream every day.
Yeah.
Norm, every day.
Did you enjoy that bit we did with driving around?
It was really hysterical.
Yeah, I got a late. They put me in late. I don't think I would have to take.
Where did you go? Did you take a spin around the station? I couldn't find you.
You drove way too far down the hall.
I got a heavy foot.
There's a real stream of consciousness thing happening here, Norm.
Yeah, it's called conversation. But there's no brake on mine.
Oh, man, I wanted to buy this dog. You should have seen this dog. This guy wanted to sell me a dog in the store. It was $600, this dog. Can you believe it? $600 for a dog? Oh, man. I was looking to pay, you know, a buck. I just wanted a bargain dog, a nice discount dog, a cheap, off-the-rack kind of dog, any kind of, show me to your bin of dogs, my good man, I said to the guy. But this guy says, no, he says, why don't you buy this dog? He says, it's $600, this dog, but he says, this dog is a pit bull. He says, this dog will protect your valuables. You know, and I don't even have anything very valuable, you know. I buy the pit bull, that would be the most valuable thing I have. I'd have to buy something to protect it then, you know. I'd be out shopping for wolverines the next day there. Show me something in a timber wolf if you could. You know, of course, they say the White House was haunted. Did you know that? And I thought this was kind of sad. I heard last night that President Clinton charged Abraham Lincoln's ghost $10,000 to sleep in his own bed. So that doesn't seem right to me, you know? I mean... But look, the president, you know, has come under a lot of fire for raising money, but you know, he's good at raising money. That's not a bad thing. Every president's done it. It's just that President Clinton is very, very, very good at it. Do you know he has organized in the past year over 100 fundraising dinners and over 200 fundraising midnight snacks? Did you know that? Is he laughing? Is he... O.J. Simpson's lawyers have decided to skip hearings on DNA evidence and go right to trial. Asked why they did this, the lawyers replied, "We want to get O.J. acquitted as speedily as possible so he can get back to doing what he does best, killing people."
No, I was just thinking, you know, because they have that Viagra thing out.
Yeah.
And the other day, you know, Bob Dole came right out and said...
He was one of the first.
Yeah. And, you know, you don't want to hear about Bob Dole's cock, you know? I mean, President Clinton's cock, Bob Dole's cock, what the hell? But mostly, an old man like that, you don't want him to have a super hard cock. You know what I mean?
Why?
Why? Because an old man, you want him to be, got a pipe going, a newspaper, the dog at his feet there.
Well, that, in some corners, is considered pipe.
Oh. But now they're going to have to create some goddamn pill that makes women aroused at the sight of a fucking 70-year-old dude with a super hard cock. You know what I'm saying?
crazy. This is Viagra. It's insane. And you know what it's for? Impotent people. All right, it's for impotent guys. So get this. I read this. The pill can make your cock hard for 4 hours.
Right.
So now, who has the 4-hour hard cock? The impotent guy. The rest of us are fucked. Me and you got our regular cocks. Meanwhile, fucking Spade is, you know.
Refer to Spade.
Oh, man. I didn't see it.
I didn't see it coming.
Dude, I know you didn't. He brought it all around and then a vicious rip kick into his best friend's gut.
Once there's too much cock talk, I try to just zone out for a minute till it goes back the other way.
If there's too much cock talk, this guy has fevered nightmares all night. Dreams, I mean, like sweaty, fevered dreams from the cock talk that's been all over his head.
Why bury me twice? He's killing me.
No, he's a good man.
That erased it. All right.
No, he's a good man.
Who cares?
After all that, that's nice.
You know, I'm old enough to remember back to simpler, more innocent times when the worst thing you'd hear about the news was hijacked jetliners flying into buildings.
Oh, now, Gilbert, you're going to get into trouble again.
What I wanted to show you is how easy it is to watch yourself and other live streams on your tablet device.
On the computer.
On the computer.
Yeah.
Go ahead and hit play there.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
right there
I
in
see.
my.
It's so simple.
Do you see your face?
Oh yeah, it's me with a huge fat fucking face.
Yeah, I didn't want to be the one to say it.
Yeah, I've been having a lot of trouble. My doctor, he said he's not a very nice guy. He said, open your mouth and say oink.
Yeah, you need to get better insurance, Norm.
Insurance? He was calling me a fat pig.
Well, I mean, nobody's going to disagree with him.
Oh, Chasm.
I'm sorry, Norm. I've got an acid tongue.
You do. You're an acid-tongued Arab.
Well,
one time I was hosting, and there was 3 guys.
I've never hosted. How many times have you hosted?
Just one time. It was a mistake.
Did it not go well?
It was all right.
Did you do Update?
No.
You didn't even do Update?
It was right after I got fired from Update. I thought it'd be funnier back then. But anyways, so there were three guys doing music, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know music. I just know old music. Like, again, Lauren would go, who do you like? And I go, you like this guy,
Bobby Goldsboro.
Yeah, Bobby Goldsboro. Eddie Cantor, is he around? And Lauren go, you've got to go, you know. So
who'd they have on? Very hip.
So they
young
had
kids.
hip guys that everyone else knew except me. It was Snoop Dogg. He just changed his name, and he was angry because I kept getting it wrong. It used to be Snoop Doggy Dogg. It was Snoop Dogg and Eminem and Dr. Dre.
That's a pretty heavy lineup.
Yeah,
though.
but to me it was 2 black guys and a white guy. So I go to introduce them.
You're beautiful.
And they're all
just trying to get this into the barn. Don't go black white on.
They were all standing like in
I'm
rap.
out there with Francis Farmer. You're about to go up and take me with you.
They were standing in rap positions, as you know, like against, and I'm about to introduce them. So they're standing in that rap position where it looks like they'll either start singing rap or pull a gun and kill you. So then I go, as a joke, I look at them, because I remember this is kind of a Letterman-y thing to do, but I go, fellas, are you ready? Are you ready? Which forces them to go shake their heads slightly. Even though they're in this crazy, dangerous
I'll post up.
I'll post up. So I thought that was funny. But then I learned later they were geniuses, and I should have befriended them rather than...
You're a freaking genius, Norman.
The oddest slogan I've ever heard. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, they say. Of course it's not true. You can't kill a person, leave. They'll follow you across state lines and bring you back, and you'll face a jury of your peers. So I said, what does that mean? What does it mean? Like, what are they getting at, you know? I started ruminating about it. I whittled. I started whittling.
Oh, you whittle?
Yeah, when I ruminate, I whittle.
Whittle and ruminate.
Yeah, whittle.
Hand in hand.
And I said, what does that actually mean? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas? And it came to me in a sudden. What it means is you can have sex with a prostitute in Las Vegas, and she will not tell your wife. they're very discreet in Vegas. They're not like these gossipy small town whores. You know. These blabbermouths down at the beauty parlor with that pale blue thing over their head, whatever that is, go, you're Hank Johnson's husband? By God, I had sex in exchange for cash last night with him. Small world.
Yeah, in exchange for cash.
See, this is the thing with celebrity trials, you know, is that it really gets the country all worked up. Because the last celebrity murder, of course, we had was the O.J. Simpson murder. And what happened there is O.J. Simpson was acquitted of murder, you know. And then all the black people thought that O.J. was innocent. And all the white people thought that O.J. was guilty. So what happened was it created a racial divide in the country. I read that in a magazine. It created a... But what that means is, of course, the races were divided, you know? And that's no good, you know? So I was figuring, maybe, what do you think of this? Maybe we let Robert Blake off and call it even. And then...
Well, earlier this week, actor Marlon Brando met with Jewish leaders to apologize for comments he made on Larry King Live. Among them that, quote, Hollywood is run by Jews. The Jewish leaders accepted the actor's apology and announced that Brando is now free to work again. In a brilliant move during closing arguments, Simpson attorney Johnny Cochran put on the knit cap prosecutors say O.J. wore the night he committed the murders. Although O.J. may have hurt his case when he suddenly blurted out, hey, easy with that. That's my lucky stabbing hat.